Hey everybody, welcome back to the Danger Planet. Today, we're doing the Asami tier list. Welcome to the Danger Planet, you all. Today, I'm joined by channel regular, Pope DARPA. Landing, you want to say hello to the internet?
Hey, internet.
And of course, Douglas. Doug?
Hello, the internet.
And today, our first time on the channel super special guest is Drayson from Drayson Gaming. Drayson, say hello to the internet.
It's Drayson.
Hello, internet. How you doing?
Oh my gosh. Welcome. We're so excited to have you. We have been talking about doing this for a while now with Asami, and then eventually maybe we'll talk Lin Lee. If you haven't caught Drayson's videos on Lin Lee, I know I have, because they're the only reason I could get myself through a game with her.
I've also been in Drayson's DMs for like 3 months, asking him to handhold me through all the various masters that I'm ADHD bouncing around. So props to Drayson for that. If you guys haven't seen Drayson's YouTube video, Drayson Gaming, we're going to link that below. Drayson is an incredibly high-level 10 Thunders player. He plays a lot in the MWS community. He also runs his own tournaments called Drayson Cups. You guys can find those at the Constructive Criticism Discord that he helps run. We'll also link that below. Suffice to say that this man is incredibly talented, and he is probably, in my opinion, one of the top 5 10 Thunders players globally. So I'm really happy to have him here. Drayson, thank you so much for agreeing to come on. We're really happy and excited for you to drop some wisdom for us, my friend.
Thank you, man. No pressure.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No pressure, except for all of that pressure. Drayson, do you want to, Doug kind of really spelled it out, I think, pretty effectively, but is there anything particular you want to plug about stuff you're doing going on where people can find you now?
So, no, I think you covered it well. I would say, like, in terms of, I am proud of getting a lot of the competitive games out there, and if you enjoy those, that's great. I'm really pleased. But the ones that are sort of close to my heart are the guides to specific Thunders masters. I only do guides to masters that I love and that I play a lot, and then I put a lot of effort into those and really try and get everything out there. So if you like the guides, go and check them out. That's it.
Fantastic. We have a sort of big-ish keyword. I mean, we got a lot of versatiles because it's 10 Thunders, so let's jump right into it. Mr. Pope, I hear that you've been liking some Asami 1 post-rework. Do you want to walk us through how she plays and what she's been up to since her recent makeover/glow-up?
Man, like is a strong word, but it's more of a begrudging acceptance that she's probably one of the best things we have in the faction right now. So one of the things that she primarily does, especially over the title, is that she summons Oni models. Now, since the rework, this has gotten a little bit easier. You only need a 12 to get a fat old Jorogumo on the board, which is, pretty nice upgrade compared to the 13 you need before, merely doubling the cards that work. And then we also have Akaname as the other premier summon that you'll usually be popping out. Before you do Obsidian Oni, now they're not really quite as important or useful to be summoned, but they still have a couple niche applications. But primarily what she's doing is she's walking up to a board, figuring out where to plop down a Jorogumo to make the opponent stay miserable, or if you have a good card, you'll summon 2 Akaname and a Katashiro at the same time, so you can get 3 models for 1 red joker, all of which, are fairly annoying to get rid of for their own different reasons. And then on top of that summoning idea, the entire keyword has been reworked to use this sort of hazardous rift marker shtick in one way or the other. The main thing that Asami 1 is doing with it is using it to arc attacks out of once per turn for every model in her crew. So that Jorogumo, he can hit somebody up to 8 inches away from him so long as they're near a rift marker. Same thing with your master, who has a 2/4/6 with an execute trigger on her melee that can get some cheeky kills. And if you're killing anybody near rift markers, you can also just get free stones, because you know what every summoner needs? More soul stones. We also got a little bit of a buff to our push around attack. It's no longer a gun. It targets movement now over defense. And, there's no TN on it anymore. So if we have extra AP that we don't want to be using shooting attacks out of rift markers, we can certainly use it pushing people around and potentially either stunning them or getting extra value from attacks, which is all good in the context of the fact that we are also putting hazardous terrain on the board. That's the high level of what she's doing.
Wild. Drazen, do you have anything else you want to add to Asami 1 and kind of what you're on about with her?
Sure. I think that Pope covered the key points. One is that so in terms of additions, sometimes you summon double Akaname for two other reasons, because you only need an 11 to get 2 Akaname. So while you can red Joker for the double Akaname plus Katashiro, you can also just 11 for a double Akaname. Akanames have a built-in slow on trigger on their attack, and so they effectively you spawn 2 summons, they hand out 2 slows, and then they hand out a bunch of poison for free as well. So they kind of do a bit of damage, bit of slow, and they just engage everything with a 2-inch tongue. And that is a very, very efficient tar pit, especially against slow or low defense, armored targets maybe, where you might not need Joros. But the other reason that you would do that is if the opponent has any sort of exorcism trigger. So if they can reliably spend some resources and one-shot your big summon to Joro, you can make that a lot less valuable to them by summoning 2 Akaname. The other thing that's worth mentioning on Asami 1 is her melee attack and her ability to basically be Seamus. So because she has a 2-4-6 track, and because her bonus creates a rift marker at range and then pushes that rift marker, you push it under the opponent, that deals 1 damage. You then charge and channel your attack through that rift marker from a good distance away. This can be done very, very far. And then attack with focus, get a severe through, that'll deal 6, so we're up to 7 damage. And then you can bake in, if you wish, you can pay a stone to bake in a mask trigger, which would then push them, and that would push them into the hazardous that you've just pushed under them, and that would deal another damage. So she can effectively do not quite Seamus range, but Seamus damage, with a bit more investment and finesse, but it's there. So on top of all the ridiculous stuff that was already mentioned, she can also be a mini Seamus. So yeah.
Also, the coordinated attack trigger is absolutely wild on her, I want to call it a hair gun. Yeah. She uses her hair as a gun, I guess, or whatever. But the coordinated attack trigger, it's once per activation. So, you hit something, and then, a Joro from 8 inches away can hit something through the rift marker because of the way that it works, right? Unless I'm missing this. On the mask trigger for the hair? Is that correct?
Let me bring up the.
He's talking about using violation of reality on a different model to draw through a rift, and
to attack.
Yeah, I would agree that since it's once per activation per model in the crew, if you push them onto a rift, you can pick any Oni within 8 of that rift to take the attack on coordinated. I think is reread coordinated.
Unless I'm missing this, you can have a Joro.
No, I'm pretty sure you're correct.
Through that.
Yeah, so I was just checking it because it's not written like the Asami 2 one, so it's not during this model's activation or anything like that. So,
it's
in
just
theory,
once an activation.
Yeah, every model can once per activation do it. Yeah.
So couldn't you, from a loop perspective, you could get your summon on your Joro, you could take a focus punch shot, then you could do a hair whip, and the hair whip could then also generate the attack from the Joro that you just put somewhere else up to 8 inches away from the rift.
Yes. I don't see a reason why that wouldn't work
out. Yeah.
It's absolutely wild. This master's a absolute clown house of nonsense.
That's some bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. I was starting to get mad when you said Seamus, Drayson, and now I'm upset. In fact, I'm pupset.
I was about to say, are you pupset? Then
which
we're
is
in
the
real
thing
trouble.
we have on the channel from an in joke that would take way too long to explain.
Drayson has a pupper. Drayson has a golden retriever, right?
Oh, because you get a golden retriever?
His good boyo showed up in one of his videos.
Oh my gosh.
It was the best part of the video. I mean, the whole video was excellent, but the best part was when the dog showed up.
That was the first comment I got. So it was like, doggo.
People love doggos, dude.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. 10 Thunders Brain Trust. Anything else we got on Asami 1, or are we going to Asami 2 here?
I think we're good.
Yeah, that's some spicy shenanigans, but
I guess the only other call out would be that she has way too much defensive tech on the front of her card.
What, you mean extended reach and protected?
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, and defense 6. Okay. Well, let's talk about a model who's not defense 6 then, Landon. Asami Tanaka, Shintaku. Asami 2, if you will. Drazen, you're the Asami 2ist Asami known to man, I think. So let's
Probably.
what
Probably.
do you got? How do you use this lady?
Well, yeah. So Asami 2 was where I went when the rework came, because it was essentially a new master at that stage. So Asami 1, in my eyes, had just been sort of upgraded a little bit, but Asami 2 had been genuinely put on the map, and here are the reasons for that. So Asami 2 offers a different crew upgrade. So instead of being able to channel through rift markers, it allows you to essentially leap between rift markers. So a model, during its own activation, when it moves, if it ends any movement within one of a rift marker, it can then place itself within 6, so long as that point is also within one of a rift marker. It can be the same rift marker if you simply want to move a little bit around, but it allows you to effectively have a free leap on every Oni every time they move during their own activation. That movement does not have to be an action, so it doesn't have to be a walk. It could be, for example, a reposition trigger. So you can reposition trigger, but as long as it's during your own activation, you can reposition, end within one of a rift, place within 6, so long as that is also within one of a rift. And very importantly, a charge is a movement. So it generates a push. You take that push, you then can do the placing effect, and then you can still take the attack because it's generated afterwards. And so you're able to charge through rifts, and you end up with things like a Jorogumo with an 18-inch charge threat. Which is pretty ludicrous when there are 3, 4, 6 track with very, very good triggers. So that's the first thing that Asami 2 does, and it's the main thing that she does. But in addition to that, she provides a slightly more bubbly style of Asami gameplay. So Asami 1 is able to do all the usual stuff, and she can spread out and throw summons at people, and the rest of her crew can be relatively out of keyword if you wish, and then run some Thunder's All-Stars wherever you need them to be. But Asami 2 wants to play almost entirely in keyword because of a mother's love. So when another friendly Oni model within 8 inches suffers damage from an enemy action, it may reduce that damage by up to 2 to a minimum of 0. That's important. And if it does so, this model suffers damage instead. So essentially, Asami 2 gives armor 2 to all Oni within 8 inches of her, except it's not armor, so it can't be ignored by anything that would. However, that damage does need to be taken onto Asami 2. However, Asami 2 has a bunch of ways to do a lot of self-healing. So she has some healing triggers. She has a healing bonus that can heal her for about 4 fairly easily. And she can heal, in theory, she can heal 2-3 times with Oni's strength with a shared health trigger. And then she's got a bunch of other ways to heal as well that we'll come on to as we talk about the keyword. In addition to that, she has one of these if you take the same action twice, then something happens kind of effects. And in her case, it's that she drops, not creates. This is one of the only drop rift marker effects. She dropped a rift marker under your ass. That means that the action that you took, that you repeated, will resolve within hazardous, and therefore you will take a damage just for taking the action, after which you will still be sat in hazardous, so anything else you do, or if you get moved, you'll be taking more hazardous damage. So she is the one that really drops out rifts at an enormous rate, allows you to leap around using them, and then she allows all of your crew to stay alive, and she protects your useful support pieces and makes them close to immortal. And then she can also drop out a lot more rifts than Asami 1. So she can create them with shockwaves, she creates them when you repeat actions, and she can give Oni fast. So she's a much more supporty version. And she has a 5-7 defensive track instead of 6-5 extended reach. Against certain keywords, that can be even better.
Wild. Also upsetting. Landon, do you have anything you want to add about Asami too before we kick it over to Doug and then talk about the rest of the keyword?
Man, yeah, she just puts up a really difficult bubble to crack, and something I don't recall if we said, but it's worth noting that you can still stone the damage you soak up from a mother's love. So it offers a nice way to make your otherwise inefficient models at trying to protect even harder to kill because you get to use your stone pool in addition to, just trying to tank things up. But really, I want to say this model is just way harder to kill than it looks. You look at the stats and you're like, all right, it's defense 5, it's 12 wounds. Maybe it's not that hard to kill Asami 2, right? Maybe my game plan should be to go in and kill this model, and it absolutely cannot be, because if you try that and you don't do like 12 irreducible damage in one activation, she's just going to be a 12 again. Like, it doesn't happen the way you think it should.
Reminds me of Frank in that regard.
Yeah, but like Frank, you can at least eye up and be like, all right, well, Frank just reduces a crap ton of damage, right? So like, it's hard to put damage into Frank to begin with. Like this one is deceptively rude, because like Frank, you're like, all right, well, Frank will put me on neg flips. Frank will reduce all my damage by 2. It's obviously a bad idea to touch that thing, right? Whereas, you play into Asami 2 once and you're like, oh, well, the downside to her absorbing all this damage from her minions is that she takes a bunch of damage, so I should just hit her instead. And like, that just doesn't work.
Yeah. But I think they share the deceptiveness in terms of like Frank has a lot of the text that keeps him alive isn't on his card. So some of it's on Leadline Coat, some of it's on Duck and Cover from Nephilim Hunter, some of it is from Abuela making him ridiculous. Whereas Asami 2, again, like, yes, her own self-heal is already fairly ridiculous, but then on top of that, you've got the Kamaitachi, the Obsidian Oni, Amanjaku, and so on, and so on. Yeah. So I think, it's deceptive. You're absolutely right. And if you try to kill Asami 2 and you don't, you've lost.
Yeah, for sure.
Wild. I feel like
if you dive her, it will not work, and you will lose. Have a good plan.
Yeah. Doug, do you have anything you want to talk about with Ms. Tanaka?
I agree with everything these guys are saying. I think this thing that stands out to me is I always look to models' threat ranges first, to when I'm trying to wrap my brain around a crew or a model that either I'm piloting or I'm in a competitive match and have to take seriously versus an opponent. And the threat ranging in this crew is absolutely outrageous. Like, it's outrageous. Like, we'll get to Jorogumo's in general, but I have a feeling that these gentlemen will encourage us to hire at least one of them in an Asami 2 list. And like Drayson said, like, you have agency over such huge aspects of the board. As long as you can maintain line of sight to Asami 2, you also have a heal dump engine. Like, it's crazy. I played against Drayson on Asami 2, and I was like, hey, can you show me how this works? And I watched a Jorogumo teleport around the board for 4 turns, and I was like, this is nuts. So it's really, if you haven't seen it functionally on the board, oh boy, just wait till you get a Jorogumo charge through a rift marker, appear on the other side of the board, and start smashing you with a min 3 attack that's like pretty good. It's a sight to behold.
Yeah, I don't really want to do that though.
We didn't even mention the stat 6 willpower innately apply stun gun that she has.
Which is also very good.
No one minds if they're stunned. Like, that's not bad.
It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not even a gun though.
Stun's not real. It can't hurt you.
Just to really bring home the fact that it's not going to be subject to cover or friendly fire or being engaged.
Yeah.
I guess a weird tidbit, I guess, that we didn't actually cover. She doesn't have an engagement range though, so like, there are some weird things that come up with that.
Yeah, that's a negative generally.
I suffer, I guess, a little bit with that with Molly from time to time. Let's talk about if in case that wasn't enough, let's also talk about how she draws 7 cards every turn. So her totem, this little blue lad Amanjaku, is a 4 health totem. He's got manipulative, so a little bit of defensive tech. He can eat rift markers to gain fast at the start of his activation, and he has Arcane Reservoir. Also something that we're going to see a whole bunch, pretty much on, I think, every model in the crew, except for the weird variations of it, is Spiritual Tear, which is a demise ability that drops a rift marker into base contact when the model dies. Amanjaku also has like an okay melee attack. It's like a 1/2/4, so it can with crit strike and Feast of Vengeance, so you can heal Asami. And he has 2 different bonus actions that are move a rift marker and give out focused. flicker tokens, which function completely different now. We'll talk about that in a minute. And the ability to just make a rift marker, which is pretty good. And rift markers also, in case we didn't talk about it, are destructible and hazardous. And that's Amanjaku. Drayson, what's this boy about? I mean, obviously we're always taking him because he's free, but
yeah, sure. Well, the one thing to mention is that that rift markers as well are 30 millimeter. So if you haven't come across them and you missed it, they are 30 mil, and they are hazardous themselves. It's not like a 1 inch around them. I know that's been a common misconception. Some people think that's the case. It's just the marker itself, which is brutal enough, trust me. So manipulative, it's not bad. You know, if you say, do you want it? Sure, I'll have it. Generally, though, he's going to get killed by a focus shot if he gets killed. He doesn't tend to die much in Asami 2 because he's effectively got armor 2 there. But in Asami 1, you can absolutely get him killed. So generally what he does is he sits back and provides Arcane Reservoir for the first 3 turns, and especially in turns 1 and 2, he creates rift markers and then he pushes them into positions where you want them so that you can take advantage of your crew upgrades. That can also be seen as 1 unresisted damage, right? So he moves up, he pushes a rift marker under your ass, you take a damage, and if you're unactivated, you're going to take at least 1 more to get out of it again. So he sort of does unresisted 1+1 over time. That really adds up when most of your crew is doing something similar. So that's his job. And then later, the thing that you mentioned, which is that he can, at the start of his activation, remove a rift within 4 to gain fast, makes him, by the way, he's significant. So now he's a fast, significant totem in 3, 4, and 5, and he's movement 6. So he actually becomes a pretty decent schemer with manipulative, which in the later game is more impactful. And as long as you can keep him alive, he'll usually score you some points.
Yeah, I forgot to mention he's movement 6. Jeez.
You mentioned a lot of his bonus of shifting gates. Are you getting more value out of that very often in the mid to early game than you are out of Strength and Oni, the just target gains a focus for a 5?
So I'm using so again, I was sort of I had my Asami 2 hat on. In Asami 1, you're absolutely strengthening Asami 1 every single time. In Asami 2, you're usually doing more damage to them by putting rifts where you need them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, and I guess just so we can cover it now. So flicker tokens, for those who used to understand or who haven't read this yet, basically when Asami 1, because I don't think Asami 2 doesn't summon at all. Yeah, that's
correct.
What I'm saying. Yeah, so when Asami 1 summons a model, they get an upgrade. If they cost 6 or less, they'll get a flicker token. If they and Amanjaku can give them flicker tokens as well, but at the end of the turn, if they don't have any flicker tokens, they die. You know, they're demons summoned from another world. They gotta be some level of sort of impermanent. But now it's not. They just get to attack a million times with a million plus flips. And then sometimes die, but not really. Now it's like a ticky clock that functions with all of their summons. So Amanjaku has the ability to give out a flicker token to make them last a little bit longer. Doug, what do you think about this little blue lad?
I've been playing mostly Asami 1, so like a lot of my personal experience is with Asami 1, but I agree, like he gives focus to Asami on turn 1, and then later in the game he's a significant little idiot that can run around and do stuff for the strat. I found usually I try to keep him safe, and then once the real schmenagling starts to go down and people are just like beating on each other, he often tries to sneak off and participate in the strat in an AP efficient manner. But in the early game, he's chilling, making sure I have a nice fat 7-card hand, and then he's like giving out focus to the once a turn projected attack that Asami is taking, which then frees her up to not have to take the focus herself and allows her to do the thing where it's like, I whip my hair back and forth, but also with a mask, and a Jorogumo joins in, and that's usually what I do with it. And that's my whole song.
Yeah, fair enough. I like Amanjaku. I'm kind of sad he doesn't get to become like a almost master anymore. That was a cool little mechanic.
I think that was just a heavy personal kink of yours, Brandon. Although
I really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I loved that. That was cool. I hate lore, but I just love the idea of this guy getting pissed because you killed his master. Like that's.
Yeah. Well, Doug, you've been overruled. But don't worry if he's not whipping his hair back and forth, because boy is this next lady gonna. So let's talk about the henchman that I learned about this year, like this 2024 this year. Didn't know this was a model before then because I had never seen it on the table, or like seen the card even. But Ohaguro Bettari is also a henchman for Asami. That's a real fact. I don't know if she was just bad before, but like I think I saw her one time total in my life.
She was definitely bad before.
She was dreadful. Yeah.
Great. Well, boy, does this model have a lot of high numbers on this card for her to be so bad. Maybe now, I don't know how much her numbers changed, but she's an 8-cost henchman. She has all 6s: defense, willpower, movement. She's got 8 health. She has unnerving presence, so she ignores resistance triggers, which are the the defensive triggers that are happening in front of cards.
More importantly, she doesn't ignore them. She makes it so that enemy models within an aura 6 just can't use them at all against anyone.
Yeah. And you'll find them they're all over the board. Some of them are lame, some of them don't do anything. Some of them are if you kill this guild steward, you take 1,000,000 damage.
Or Zoraida's regret trigger, or the dead Doxy regret trigger.
Yeah, and sometimes they say your activation ends.
Yeah, sometimes they just say fuck
or
you.
Or any of her nearby friends.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. She also has diving charge, so she can charge while engaged. She can move through models and terrain. She's terrifying 11, which is pretty good, and she drops a rift marker when she dies. On the flip side of her card, her only bonus action is I've got your back, but she has a melee attack that's a 2/3/5 that gets plus flips to hit if they're within one of a rift marker. And spoiler alert, if you're playing against Asami, you're gonna be. You got puncture, shove aside, and from the heavens, which lets you not be able to reduce with soul stones. She also has a hunting song, which is kind of like a reverse lure. Or it's not reverse lure. It's kind of like a lure where you move the model towards you, but then you drop a rift marker into base contact with it, which is quite frankly fucking rude. And then she's got some triggers on that too to heal, and you can make the model run away, just like the Doxies deal. Right? Is it Doxies that do that? I think it's Doxies.
It's not Doxy, it's Trixie Belle.
Oh, Trixie Belle. Oh, yes. Sorry. Yeah, so basically this lady's Trixie Belle when she grows up.
I believe you mean the didn't need to see that trigger?
Yeah.
Best trigger in the game?
Is it actually called the same thing too?
No, yeah, it's called didn't need to see that, and she flashes her gremlin boobies and people run away, basically.
Oh, that's what this one's called?
Yeah, the same name.
Awful.
Same trigger.
Oh, no. Does that imply it's the same? Oh, no. This is terrible.
But for reference, the best trigger in the game.
Those are Oni boobies, not gremlin boobies, sir.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You were saying, Pope. Sorry. You're not the same person. I realize that you're not the same person.
I was going to say, for the record, the best trigger in the game is actually Wait What.
What's Wait What on?
It's a trigger on Wong's bonus action where he swaps around what's getting dropped, I believe. Or no, he makes it so a second one comes down. I don't remember what it actually does, but the best part is that someone says they're going to do it, and then you just say, wait, what? And then they stop everything that they're doing to try and figure out what they did wrong,
Amazing. Yeah, it drops an extra type of the marker.
Psychological mind games happening over here, Pope.
Exactly.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Drayson.
I'm not joining in.
That's fair. It's a bio conversation.
Drayson, what's your favorite trigger in the game? Or you can tell us about Ohaguro.
I'll think on the trigger game, but also I want to cycle back very briefly to the comment about stopping a guild steward blowing up in your face. She can't do that because that's a demise.
Yep.
Oh, I thought that was his resistance thing.
So no? just before someone goes, haha, Bettari, and the steward goes, haha, 8, that's...
well, you see, what you do is you drop the steward to 1 with your severe 5, and then you lure him with Hunting Song and kill him with the Hazardous after you already had a piece of Hazardous, because she won't do the damage if there was no Hazardous.
Yes, I was about to say, that's not going to work from the Hazardous that it drops from the Hunting Song, but you can always just leave him sitting in it and let him kill himself. It is, stop hitting yourself, etc. Okay.
Okay, yes,
Bettari.
good point. Future Brandon, cut this. BT dubs. And cut that last bit. We'll figure it out. Okay, thanks, Jason. Back to you. None of this happened.
None of this happened. It wasn't real. And then in true
Actually,
Danger
cut
Planet
out-
fashion, none of this will be
cut
edited out, and all of this will be live on the episode. I swear everyone will be hearing this. It'll be hilarious.
No. Cut out the Oni boobies part too. I'm gonna take that out. I'm actually only gonna leave just that part in. Okay, Jason. What do you think about this Ohaguro?
Oh,
How do you like?
I
Ms.
don't want to save you.
Bettari?
I just want to hear you just keep trying until you die. Go again. What's the name?
Ohaguro Bettari.
Excellent. Let's.
look at
Ohaguro Bettari.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Ohaguro.
If you like, the community calls her Betty.
I do not like that.
Okay.
I kind of do.
I hate
Whoa, Black Betty.
Damn to damn.
That's what she tends to get referred to as. Right. So she is still. I mean, this gives you an idea of how good the keyword in general is. She is still a tech pick. So she does not show up unless you have a specific reason to, and that reason is usually unnerving presence. So if you're facing Zip, if you're facing Raspy, or anyone else that you can think of that has a particularly obnoxious one. Maybe people don't tend to drop Leviticus into Thunders, but you know.
I mean, Zoraida has an annoying trigger.
Oh yeah, she's very very handy into Zoraida, but actually Zoraida's got other problems that we'll come on to when we get to Suzaku. But yeah, there are a bunch of models where if resistance triggers are a very likely thing that you're going to hit and they're worth countering, then that is what you're bringing her for. The other thing you're bringing her for is if you specifically need a lure type ability, so a kidnap of some sort. The combination of a lure and turning off resistance triggers makes her particularly good against Raspy 2. But yeah, she's that's what she's there for. If you take her just as a combat model, you'll probably be a little bit disappointed compared to the other options that you've got available. Diving Charge is handy, Terrifying 11's okay, and it's not something that's necessarily prepared for super much. People will be ready of it for Amanjaku, but yeah, she's got the same demise as all the Oni, and so then we come on to like. I will sort of try to throw in a comment for why would you take this specifically with Asami 2? And the reason is that because with Diving Charge and her Asami 2's crew upgrade to teleport around, this model can be absolutely anywhere. And with a shove aside trigger can really start to take advantage of a table that's covered in rift markers. So Asami 2's crew creates all the rifts, and then Betty just dives around and dances between them and causes hell. But generally speaking, what she does is turns off resistance triggers, and that's why you take her.
Rad.
See, the problem with taking her to turn off resistance triggers particularly, though, is you also happen to be playing in a faction where you can just, for 2 stones, ignore resistance triggers with the model you're taking attacks on. I mean, I'm not saying that you won't take her in that circumstance, but I feel like you need a slight amount of extra push to want her with some of the rest of her kit, or like a plan for her to be doing something else, like scoring bombs, or using I've Got Your Back to deny a scheme, or like you said, that kidnap lore, and that kidnap lore is really what I see the value in for her. But like,
Pope, would you like to share with the class what that upgrade is? Or what
that
you're
would be
talking about by
Masked
name?
Agent, which is a upgrade you can pay for 2 stones, which does not give you Unnerving Aura anymore, but it does give you the ability of Relentless, which just makes it so that any models engaged with the model with the upgrade cannot declare them, which is a fair bit worse than a 6-inch bubble, depending on what you're trying to go get. But
yeah, but depending on the model, I mean, I've been taking it on Story of Thangong, who we'll talk about in a little bit lately, and it's pretty. I really like it on him.
But
You also get a
is fair bit
badge on
cheaper than that.
Longshanks.
If you take Masked Agent,
No, if you take any Thunders upgrade. They're like,
Why?
you wasted 2 stones. Congratulations.
It's like a challenge medal. It's fucked up.
But I really like her kidnap. Her kidnap's good. The fact that the Tianot's only is 5 is quite helpful if you end up needing to use it on your own. I think that, in pools with like Hold Up Their Forces, she gains a reasonable amount of value just because I've Got Your Back and Allure are really helpful denial pieces, and that she's pretty good for plant explosives due to her twofold kit of taking people off explosives if you need to like go pick them up, and her ability to just leave engagement and drop an explosive marker without needing any sort of complicating like TNs or anything. She just charges and does it. Pretty nice.
I agree with that. And I think that, so for people who maybe didn't know, Betty previously had no bonus action at all. And so for an 8-stone henchman, that was pretty egregious. But now she's got I Got You Back, which is half the time not having a bonus action and is half the time potentially game winning. So you need to identify, when is I've Got Your Back going to be good? When is Unnerving Presence going to be good? And if one or preferably both of those things are true, you really want to be thinking about Bettari, because she can be incredibly good when she is.
I agree with that. I think what you guys are saying is pretty spot on. And actually it's a good point about I've Got Your Back in general, Drayson. I've kind of viewed it that way for a long time. Like, either the tech ain't live or that tech might be winning you the game. So it's cool to hear another experienced player say that as well. I guess with all that, gentlemen, we figure she's like,
Some matchups.
She's some matchups, and my perspective on this is that she's like what I would call in my old Magic the Gathering days a true tech pick, a true sideboard card. You bring her in when that shit's active and when that shit matters, and when it does, she's playable. But if it's not, probably not. Is that fair to say?
She's still playable, but she's not something you want in a competitive game.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So then I would say we start her off right in the middle of smack dab in the middle of sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you enjoy it, like if you're not looking to go to top tables and you like the model or you just enjoy it, you can absolutely put Bettari in any crew you want. She'll perform dutifully. But if you wanted to shine in competition, then she's a sometimes food. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my point more so is that like if you're just starting out the keyword, right, and you're trying to fill out your 50 soul stones and you haven't got every model in 10 thunders, like you're not going to feel bad putting her in your crew. But like once she's
playable for
models,
sure.
She'll slot naturally kind of right out.
Yeah, I think she's playable. Like, I think the point you're making is a good one. Like, this model isn't like god unplayable nonsense trash. It's like it's just she doesn't shine as brightly, and in my opinion, we're already kind of pressed for soul stones in this economy, in an Asami economy.
Yes.
We are already pressed for soul stones, and like when I'm bringing her on is when she has a specific job to do. Otherwise, I'm probably just going towards so many of the other powerful models that would shine in that matchup.
Yeah.
Nodding vigorously. Yeah.
What do you got, Brandon? Any closing words?
I mean, she's defense 6, so she's unkillable against Barker Barrows. But other than that, no, I don't know. I just that one was for Nick. You know why. Okay. I think that sounds very reasonable. Boy, does she have a lot of 6s though. I just want to say that high stats for the living. That was like supposed to be a Panic at the Disco joke, and it didn't really pan out. We'll workshop it.
It's okay, man. Not everything pans out. You got to keep trying, though.
Yeah. You miss 100% of the bits you don't do.
Wayne Gretzky, yeah. Michael Scott.
Yeah. Let's talk about the other henchman in this crew, the one that probably everyone's a lot more familiar with, No Zako. So this lady is a 10-stone henchman. She has 10 health, flight, terrifying 12, because she's got to really just knuckle Betty, if you will, a little bit. It's kind of rude. And if an enemy model within 3 dies, she just flat out gets to make a rift marker to base contact with it before it goes, and she obviously dies and makes a marker. She's defense 5, willpower 7, move 6 because she flies. She's very fast. She also has a min 3 melee attack, which is pretty strong. It's 1 inch, which is kind of bad, but stat 6 against defense with drink blood to heal her, stunning strike to stun people, and feast of vengeance to heal Asami. Because Asami. What did I say? And then she's got a 3-inch aura ability that just pops out Hazardous Terrain, which like you do, I guess, but I think you do enough of it, quite frankly. But it's a different hazardous, so you can, and it will stack. And then Dark Bargain, which is one of the best bonus actions of the game, lets her just flat out on a 5 take and interact. Or somebody else nearby. It's range 6 inches. But
then the mask trigger is absurdly powerful.
Yeah, and then the mask trigger is eat a rift marker, and then you can do any action instead of interact. So, charge. I don't know, attack. Do one of her nonsense things. Put up her aura, I guess. Let's go. That's what we got. Drayson, Ama no Zako? Or Ama yes Zako?
Yeah, she's as close to an auto include as it gets. Without being one though, because there are some spots where you won't take her. So Terrifying 12 and 5/7 is just a solid defensive package. After that, if that's not a problem for you, then she is a bit squishy. So that's where Asami 2 really makes her shine, because that defensive package plus effectively armor 2, she becomes genuinely unkillable on top of soulstone usage and a serious amount of self-heal. Plus, a support model that we'll come on to later, the Kamaitachi, is able to heal her even more, and Obsidian Oni with their rework can additionally sort of add to that healing. So she's another model where if you try to kill her and you fail, you're in a world of pain. And one of the main reasons for that is because of that hazardous aura. So the thing that makes her so brutal is this 3-inch hazardous aura, which then usually gets stacked up on top of rift markers, and so it means that almost any movement, any displacement effect that the rest of the crew generates, spoiler lots, will deal an additional 2 damage. So it becomes min whatever plus 2, well, +1/+1. And so things that are near Ama tend to die, and when things die near Ama, they become more rifts. And then in Asami 2's case, that very quickly becomes food for her to snack, and heal from. So Ama no Zako, brutally strong. I did mention that there are times when you don't take her. And that is when you are playing against the very limited number of crews that are well prepared for hazardous. So that are your main massive in-corp crews, or your guild with a lot of no prisoners and lead-lined coat crews, or your Ma 2 or your Mei 2. In those situations, you may choose not to take Ama because she's 10 stones. That is a lot. And the main thing that she brings is hazardous and creating rift markers, which are hazardous. So if the opponent can ignore hazardous, maybe you don't pay the 10.
Yeah. Landon, what do you think about this lady?
So being a min 3 AP model is still pretty good in some of those matchups, I would say, depending on what the scheme pool is and whether or not you're getting value out of a powerful flanker. Obviously, she does struggle a bit in Ma2 in particular, just because you're going to run up into armor, and min 3 into armor isn't necessarily the most exciting thing to be playing. Against opponents in reduction that have reductions, Drink Blood starts to look a lot less exciting when you're not healing for 3 when you hit something. So she's a model that really likes to punch down. She's less out of keywordable than she was before, because your mask trigger requires you to remove a rift marker. So it's not just free like it was before on top of needing the mask. But overall, I still think you'll take this model in most games of Asami you play. I'm pretty comfortable saying that I think it's probably still an auto-include, aside from the times where you'd sub it out. It's like a Hinamatsu of,
I think Drayson is being very responsible in giving people like legitimate advice instead of like what we're doing, which is like law auto hire. But it feels like most of the time law auto hire, with the very real exceptions that Drayson talked about, and actually you kind of landed on a little bit, Mr. Landine. I kind of agree with you. Literally everything you said, I think, and also what Drayson said. But this has to be our first auto hire, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can just slot the rest of the auto hires above her. I think that seems reasonable.
Drayson, do you think it's fair to say that you're taking her in like 90% or more of matchups?
More.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. Okay. We'll put an asterisk next to auto include from now on.
Yeah.
That means like roughly 85+%.
Yeah. I mean, Drayson's being a responsible adult and giving people the fair warning on the back of the gummy bear carton that, not in always food.
There have been times that I have not taken her, but they are few and far between, and I've played a lot of Asami.
Yeah.
It's also worth mentioning mask trigger on the bonus allows you to take a bonus. So if you have someone that has a very powerful bonus, this will allow you to take it twice.
Yeah.
Assuming it's not once per turn.
Assuming it doesn't have a restriction that would prevent that, yeah.
Yeah. And also she can't do it on herself because it doesn't let you alleviate the bonus action restriction. Yeah. So she can't dark bargain a second time.
No, you can dark bargain a second time. It just wouldn't be useful.
Can you?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
But she's already
100%.
taken a bonus action, so she's not
Doesn't
allowed
matter
to.
because this is a generated action.
But all the other generated actions that allow you specify that they don't ignore the bonus action.
That's from an old holdover
Restriction?
in the rules.
Interesting. Well, fair enough. I don't know why you would do that. It wouldn't do anything other than waste cards and stones. But yeah, Dark Bargain. It's a hell of a drug. I really like her. I think she's good. She's always been good. She used to be probably more of a problem, quite frankly. But maybe she's more of a problem now. It's hard to tell.
She was better out of keyword before. She's way better in keyword now.
Yeah, she's way better in keyword now.
Yeah, which is, I think, how it should be. I struggled with this next bit because technically, this next lady is not technically in the keyword. But, like, so we're going to talk about her now.
And she didn't even get a sombrero and a mustache.
No.
Or a 4-hour energy, or a 4 loco.
A 4
It's
loco.
okay.
No, that was the Papa Loco
Drayson,
video.
this video hasn't been published yet, but we shot the family keyword with Andre, and we're replacing everything with 4 locos for a reason we will not tell you yet. Right?
Well, I mean, it's because somebody made a joke while we were saying Papa Loco, and that's where he gets his logo from. And then I spent the rest of the episode vigorously photoshopping for
live editing, like as we're recording the episode, live editing in the 4 locos. So he's like doing his normal like color commentator introduction thing, and then like you hear in the background like, and he's like live editing as fast as I've ever seen this man live edit, like 4 locos into every image.
Okay, so Minako Rei. So technically she's not a keyword henchman, but like, bro, come on. She summons a keyword model, and that's going to be the bar towards getting into the keyword
club.
Yeah. So we're talking about Minako Rei now. So she's a henchman. She's 8 cost. Technically she's versatile in Last Blossom and not a keyword, whatever. But she's got 6 defense with a built-in mask, 5 willpower, 6 move, and 8 health. She has Laugh Off, which is amazing. She has Charge Through, which is quite good. So she gets a plus flip for melee actions generated by the charge, 2 damage specifically. And then she has Assassin, so if she kills something before it activates, it gets fast. And she has 2 sort of swappy abilities that have quite frankly confused the hell out of me because I remember how they used to be, and it just breaks my brain every time I look at it. So she now has a defense and willpower resistance trigger called Karmic Debt, which is discard any upgrade attached to enemy models, any Karmic Fate upgrades attached to enemy models, and attach the upgrade to the attacking model. And then, but you have to win the duel because it's a resistance trigger. So if they miss you attacking on a defense or willpower and you have a mask, you can put it on. Karmic Ties is, after this model suffers damage from an enemy model, the enemy model that has the Karmic Fate upgrade suffers that much damage as well, which is really strong. She has a 2/3/5 melee that's stat 6 with a built-in crow, to make her her damage irreducible, which is super strong. She can, on a ram, give out adversary to probably just her in this crew because it's Last Blossom, and on a tome she can, after resolving, draw a card, then make the model attack her. The point of that is for the Karmic Debt resistance trigger, basically. She also has Spiritual Transference, so she can rip a condition off of somebody and then gain it and possibly heal herself and end it. And then she has 2 bonus actions: Equality of Fate to draw a card, and create a Katashiro, which is why she's on this list, because on a 9 of tomes, she gets to summon a Katashiro with slow anywhere within range, but you have to eat a scrap, a shadow marker, or a rift marker. Drayson, what do you think about this lady, Minako Rei?
So outside of Asami 1 herself, this is probably the most powerful model in the entire rework. And it amused me greatly that people talked about the Minako nerf.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. So
No.
it was genuinely quite widely discussed as the Minako nerf.
What the fuck?
Because Katashiro went down from murder machines, which they were, to what they have become. So they went down. Yeah, sort of slightly different murder machines. So they had 5 wounds, which is a particularly tricky point to kill efficiently. And and they had the old flicker. So they were very, very card efficient because they would not care about dying, and they would just spend 1,000,000 flicker, and they had an onslaught kind of trigger. And so they would just attack, onslaught, attack, and flicker, 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 flicker. So plus flips to attack, plus flips to damage, and they just flip everything they could, and they had severe 4 and all that sort of stuff. And so that was Minako's like role in the past, was to try to summon Katashiro and then have them go and be little menaces. So that no longer works. So what she does now, first of all, creating Katashiro became a bonus, so she can only do it once, unless you want to spend an No Zako bonus and a mask, making Minako do it again. So you can do that if you wish to summon 2 Katashiro. She is a menace in the sense that Laugh Off is incredibly good. Assassin people forget about, and it has scored me a lot of VP. So killing a model that's standing on a bomb and then gaining fast and then picking that bomb up, for example, that comes into play much more often than people think. Charge through, people often forget. They see that she doesn't have focus, so they feel safe, and then she comes in and dings them for 5. But the main reason that she's now ridiculous is Instigate, the tome trigger that was talked about. So generally speaking, when I'm playing on Vassal and I need to have an upgrade box for the Karmic Debt and Ties and Fate and stuff, I just call that box fucked. Because any model that gets that upgrade is fucked. Like, they're just done, they're cooked. And the reason is that in addition to all the stuff that was mentioned, if that model is killed, it gets turned into a Wanyudo, which is a pretty decent model, honestly. Like, you just about don't hire them, but you sure as hell summon them. And if it's Minako that kills it, then it comes in without slow, and it comes in on full health. If another model, not Minako, kills it, then it takes 3 irreducible damage and gains slow, and it comes in, but it's still very, very good, and it gets to activate that turn. So it also makes her, like the model that gets that upgrade, then all of her attacks with her baked-in trigger become irreducible against that target. So one thing to mention is her damage isn't generally irreducible, it's irreducible against the target with the upgrade. And then on top of that, she brings condition removal into any crew that you want to hire her. I hire her into almost every Thunder's Master every game.
It's a pretty strong recommendation.
She's good. I don't disagree.
Yeah, I think she's insane, honestly. I played her a bunch as an Asami, and I've been playing her in every Shenlong list because of the synergy with Banying. I mean, you're curious to hear what Mr. DARPA has here, and then I'll give my 2 cents. What do you got,
Landon?
What do you got, Landon?
Yeah, so I'm pretty certain that there's a strong case to do, as Simon said, and take this in most Ten Thunders lists. I think there's probably a couple where you'd get away with not taking her or you wouldn't want to, but like, generally speaking, she does her job as a versatile model now much better in so far that her model itself is quite attractive. But like, yeah, I don't know, this model's fucking good. The condition removal aspect of spiritual transference, which we might not have gone into too much detail on, is not something to be glossed over either. It works on friendlies, it works on enemies, and you know, if it's a condition you don't want on yourself after you're done taking it off of someone, you can just hit that ram trigger and it's gone forever. So like, this is pretty good.
Yeah, I think this model's insanely good and versatile. I've really enjoyed playing with it every single game I've played with it.
Are we putting her above No Zako? I guess we are, yeah?
I'd say so.
Yeah.
I actually think so, yeah.
Okay, I will say...
Which is wild, honestly, but...
It might have probably been worth talking about Wanyudo, but I guess you're like not going to hire it, so...
No, that's a summon.
No, Wanyudo is a function of this fair young lady here.
I mean, unless you're playing GG All, maybe, but they're actually, honestly, they're probably better stone carriers now. Maybe it's not No Zako, though, because she doesn't fly, but you know what I mean.
There's actually a couple of things here. So first, we didn't mention that summoned Katashiro do get access to the crew upgrades granted by the Asamis. Because those go on to the player. They go on to you. Yeah. And they're keyword models anyway, so we're going to just full talk about them Sweet. So yeah, just worth bearing in mind that the summoned Katashiro do get the crew upgrades that a hired one would get. Not that you hire them very often. And the other thing is, so again, talking about Minako Rei in the context of Asami, is that the opponent is very often stood in a rift marker, Amanjaku's hazardous, or both. And when you force them to attack her, so when you grant that instigate trigger, first of all, that's an after resolving trigger, so you don't need to hit for that trigger to go off. You can cheat a one of tomes and it will go off. At which point you draw a card, guaranteed, and then they must attack you. And when they do that, they've declared an action in hazardous, and they will take all hazardous damage that they're standing in.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, that's weird. Can I just say, don't tell people this. Oh no.
It's really, really
You have to
good.
be a little bit careful though, because she herself is not an Oni, and so she will be subject to your rift markers if you do dumb things. Luckily, laugh off means your opponent usually can't make you do those things, but
Yeah.
it's worth mentioning that you do have to be slightly careful.
I feel like the fact that she has laugh off built in is like, obviously, while she's still affected by these rift markers, it's a strong synergy / stops the inter synergy. You know, kind of in my opinion, a little bit here.
Yeah,
For
you
a
still
point
gotta
of
work out
clarity,
for
though,
ogres,
she cannot get a benefit from a mother's love, and so I would say it's close. But in Asami 2, I would say Amanjaku is more of an auto-include than Minako, in Asami 2 specifically.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, that makes sense. I will say, I'm going to dissent from the pack a little bit and tell you that this model's bad and you should never hire them, but only if I'm your opponent.
Of course.
Okay.
Sure.
Nice. That's especially helpful for Captain Con, so now we got to make sure this video comes out before then. All right. So let's talk. Let's jump down to the Enforcer tier. We're talking Lady Yume. So this lady is Oni Dreamer model. So I actually own and play this one somewhat sparingly, but I haven't played her in Dreamer since the rework. But she's an 8-stone Enforcer. She has 8 health. She feeds on fear, so if enemy models in 1 inch in her engagement range fail a willpower duel, she'll heal 1. She has from 2 worlds, so when she activates, she can eat a rift marker or choose a friendly card removed from the game and discard it. And after doing either, she gets to draw a card. She's terrifying 12, unimpeded because she's a big centipede lady. And then Warp the Veil makes her, if a model's placed once per turn, if a model is placed within or 6 of her, she can look at the top 3 cards of that model's fate deck and then discard any non-Joker card looked at that costs 5 or less. She also has a 1-inch melee that's a 2/3/6 with Execute, Hole in the World, and Puncture, which are all amazing triggers, but she's an Enforcer that can't really fix any of them. She has a 12-inch Willpower duel that's stat 7 that gives out a damage and injured, which is pretty good. And then she has 2 bonus actions, Coil Around Prey, which is a size duel to place in base contact with a model with a 3-inch range, but it has bowled over, so she can push them 4 and then push you 4, which plays really well with hazardous nonsense. And then Consume, she can eat a friendly model, ignoring its demise abilities to heal equal to its health. Drayson, have you hired this model? Is my first question.
Nope.
Wild. My second question is, what are your thoughts on Ms. Yum Yum?
Dead.
We did it. But think about it. She has so much teeth.
So, the reason that Yume used to be an auto-include in all Asami lists was because of Warp the Veil. Warp the Veil used to be, as many times as you want per turn, look at 2 cards. And now it is once per turn, look at 3 cards. And the crew was set up in such a way that you would trigger that effect 5, 6, 7, 8 times per turn, looking at 10 to 16 cards and throwing away weeks. Now you're looking at 3. And so the power shift there just can't be stressed enough. Additionally, now Amanjaku is hired every game, so Terrifying 12 is something people are very, very ready for. So everything she does is bad. and you shouldn't hire her. That's it. You don't want her. So she like, in order to draw a card, instead of putting a flicker on someone randomly, which was basically she just put it onto whoever didn't care, and then drew a card. Now she has to actually destroy a rift marker. And in Asami 1, you're a little bit short on them, and in Asami 2, you really want to heal Asami with them. So you don't want to be removing them randomly. Like, I don't know. Someone tell me something good.
I might sometimes hire her in Dreamer 1 because of her stat 7 willpower duel. That's
Yeah, in Dreamer, she seems maybe okay playable. I don't know.
Specifically in Dreamer 1 and only specifically
I
in
like-
very
Jason
certain
goes,
circumstances.
so everything she does is bad.
Well, now
And
hear
then
me
it's
out
just
here. She has
silence.
a very, very powerful bonus action that is not something you'll get anywhere else in Thunders to immediately kill your own guys here. And now I'll admit, it took a fairly heavy nerf when there was no longer value in killing your master from full health. But, I still don't think it's very good compared to just hiring Betty to I've got your back it. But
No, on that point, Landon, if you hire a second master out of keyword McCabe for 16 points and then consume him, then you're a turn 1 activation 1, right? Your opponent will be so confused at what the fuck is happening that you might be able to win.
Well, you see, it's just, you make a very good point, is that, people say all of these Thunders models are really hard to kill, but all it takes is one bonus action and all of them can die.
Okay,
right?
all right.
Someone says Stan's unkillable.
Doesn't even have a TN.
We agree this model's not
This model's bad, trash, never hire.
This is the worst alt sculpt of Teddy. Okay.
What do we got next, Brandon?
All right, let's talk about this new boy who I theoretically knew about before this rework, but I had never functionally seen on the table. The Kamaitachi. You might know him as the setting for where Doctor Strange learns all of his powers.
Or the Wonder Weasel.
Well, he's the Wonder Weasel. He's always been the Wonder Weasel. That's Kamaitachi. It's fine. All right, that joke didn't land either. We're gonna keep him coming. It's fine. So this guy's a 5-stat enforcer. He's got 5 health. He's got Eye of the Hurricane, which lets friendly models within Aura 3 ignore aura effects of enemy models, which is cracked. It's like the best aura ability from Explorer Society. He's got Loyal, so you can't out of keyword hire him, which is rad. And he makes a rift marker when he dies. But also on the backside, he's got a 1-inch melee that's 2/3/3, ignoring hard to kill. He's got a 6-inch drop a shockwave, and that pushes models who fail into the either away or from the dropped marker. And then he can heal Oni real good. And he has 2 bonus actions to push a rift and his Wonder Weasel, which is where he gets his nickname from, to pitch 2 cards and draw an equal number of cards. Pretty good. Kamaitachi. Grayson. Do you plan on Tachiing him? We did it.
Oh, God.
When you pick him up out of your bag and put him on the table because you're auto hiring him.
The puns are so bad they're causing Drayson literal pain.
Well, look, I'm not cutting this, so we're gonna have to work.
All right,
around it.
Drayson, what do you think about this model?
Oh, Jesus. Right. I'm a little bit torn on the addition of Loyal to the card, because I think that is a bad precedent if it strays much further than 1 or 2 models. It sort of says, we know this card is too good within this. Like, we know this card is too good, but we wish to have it within the context of this keyword, and we can't find a finesse way to balance it, so we're just going to slap Loyal on it and call it a day. Now, that is a lot better than what was going to happen in the playtest, which was, we are going to allow this model. I mean, it would have been even better than Minako. It would have been in every single crew, no question.
Point of order. Do we want to talk about like playtest stuff on our? Isn't that supposed to be technically NDA'd? I don't know.
I wasn't.
No, the NDA
I wasn't in that
after.
playtest.
Okay.
The NDA ends after the model was released.
Oh, fair enough.
And I wasn't
And
in that
also he wasn't
playtest, so I have no NDA to break. But I hear you that you may wish to. Yeah. So the But no, fair point. I'll keep to the card that we're looking at, which is, yeah, so I don't like Loyal. The Kamaitachi is an unbelievably good support piece for 5 stones. So for 5 stones, you're getting Eye of the Hurricane, which is ludicrous. You're getting a 1/2/3 heal, which in keyword is almost always on a pause flip because you're usually within 1 inch of a friendly rift marker. Just a little note, it is a friendly rift marker, so if you're playing an Asami Mirror, it doesn't work on opponents' rift markers. You've got Dust Devil, so you've got about essentially 4 inches of unpack because turn 1, he's going to go Dust Devil, and choose away and then push everyone away. So it's like, you get that sort of Harris kind of unpack of 4 inches for free. And you get Wonder Weasel for cycle 2 every turn. He's just incredibly good. The only downside is that he is fairly killable, and again with my Asami 2 hat on, that becomes a lot less the case, and because everything in Asami 2 becomes a bit more unkillable, that gives you the time that you need to then get Kamaitachi to wander up and heal it back up, or just let Asami 2 soak for everybody and have Kamaitachi just sitting behind Asami herself as a battery, just constantly topping her back up.
I mean, it's real good healing.
Yep, it's very efficient.
This model
Very
is
efficient.
incredibly
I love
efficient for 5 soul stones.
Yeah. Lannon, are you buying this weasel guy?
Eye of the Hurricane is just gross.
Are you
Eye of the
wondering
Hurricane's
this weasel?
so good.
I think you could take Exsanguinate off of this card entirely, and it would not change my decision to Windmill Slam this into auto include for both versions. And I don't know. Have you ever taken that melee attack, Grayson? I'm just curious.
Yes. So with Asami 1, you can channel that attack,
right? Because you're charging through it. Yeah.
You're charging, so you basically get to just where you would normally be taking a walk, you're taking a charge because why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, no, fair enough.
I mean, we all kind of agree this model's very, very good, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So this probably is auto hire. Like you're taking it most games, right?
Yeah, the only time that I've ever not taken it really is against Tara, because it gives them a very reasonable model to give fast to with willpower 4. Most of your crew is willpower 7, so
yeah, you don't want to.
That's the only time that you might not, but
yeah, that makes sense.
More or less auto include than Minako though. I'm thinking more.
In Asami 2, it's more.
In Asami 2, it's more. In Asami 1, it is the same-ish.
How's that?
It's
So it's
close.
different.
It's close, if not the same-ish, in my opinion. I don't feel super strongly about in front of or behind her, because she's an absurdly powerful piece that's like showing up in 98% of games anyway. So
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah, if we feel differently, I can always change it. But for now, I'll put her there. But she's going in auto include. Yeah, that's the sickle comma. Yeah, comma, right? Sickle weasel. I think it's the comma. Nonetheless, let's talk the only in keyword story model, as opposed to all the out of keyword story models you'll be hiring that we're going to talk about in a little bit. 10 Thunders, what are you doing? Okay. So Story of Suzaku is an 8 cost bird with 8 health, 5 defense, and willpower 6 move. He's got Flameborn, so he doesn't suffer damage from burning. He's got Flame Body, so he can make your Pokemon hatch faster. He flies. He's got Flame Body, so when he suffers damage, he can reduce burning by 2 to reduce the damage it suffers by an equal amount. He has Fly as Heated Word, so enemy models treat friendly ski markers within Aura 6 of him as hazardous burning 1, which isn't quite the hazardous damage that you'd want to stack with the 9 other ways you can ping hazardous damage on people, but it's still kind of rude. And he's got the story ability Well-Versed, so once per turn he can look at the top card when he would flip a card and may discard it. The back of his card, you can just see Karis 2. Karis 1, sorry. It's the same.
Corporate needs you to find the difference between this and Karis 1. It's the same, except this model can project up we go attacks from 8 inches away.
Yeah. So she's got Up We Go, which is 2-inch melee. It's that 3 against size with a built-in tome. It places the target within 3 of its current position and does 2, 3, 4, but it can't hit models that fly. It has Conflagration, so it ignores models with burning for the purpose of friendly fire, but it's a 2, 3, 5 projectile attack that models damage gain burning, with the potential for Blaze Trigger to give models damage more burning. And then it has 2 bonus actions, the Wind's Wrath, which lets you move this and other models within Pulse 3 up to 1 inch, and then Wind Up Bird, which is pitch a flicker token from a target or end one condition on the target to give themselves burning. You basically aren't ever going to, under any circumstances, discard flicker tokens from things, because that's bad now, and they didn't change this when they eroded everything. But basically end a condition on a target, and then the bird can give itself burning, so it can have its armor. Drayson, what do you think of the story of Suzaku / Karis?
Mini
The
Karis.
story of Karis.
The story of Karis.
Karisaku. Su Karis? I don't know. All right, we'll workshop it.
So this bird is very disappointing in Lin generally. Just doesn't quite get there. But absolutely flies, both literally and figuratively and everything else in Oni. And it's because where this bird does well is hazardous, and Oni provide lots. And the crew upgrades really, really make it shine. So being able to up we go something safely from 10 inches away, actually it's more like 11, and dunk it into the hazardous that you're attacking it through, it's just so good. Or being able to Asami 2 can give Oni models fast. So very often what she'll do is she'll give Amanjaku fast and she'll give Bird fast. And then Amanjaku will go in, chunk something for 3 and then pop up a hazardous aura. And then Suzaku will come in with fast, charge through, teleporting through a rift and charge something like 14 inches, and then dunk something into the rift and the hazardous that they've just popped through. And so she's then doing 2+1+1 on Min, and because she's attacking 3 versus size, she's very often got stat advantage against whatever she's attacking. So you're getting 2+1+1, 2+1+1, 2+1+1, and then you've got the Wind's Wrath, which allows you to unresisted and with no TN push everything around again for another 1+1. So one of the first games I played with Asami, I just killed Shill turn 1 with this. It's MVP when it gets to do what it wants to do. So when your opponent is vulnerable to displacement and hazardous, the bird will absolutely shit on their dreams. When they are able to do something about that, that is all the bird really brings. So it can be a bit problematic.
Yeah, I mean, look, why
So,
isn't up we go normally, man?
Drayson, would you say
know?
situationally the bird is the word?
Jesus Christ.
Well, welcome to recording content.
Drayson's like, why did I fucking do this? I'm sorry, Drayson. We love you. We're just fucking around. We're Muppets. Landon, what do you got on the bird?
Yeah, so the bird is really, really good. I think that, we're underselling exactly how strong it is that the bird can just reduce damage by 2 by itself, but by 4 in Asami.
In Asami 2.
In Asami 2. That's really, really good. And so it's hard to put this model down. And even if you're not getting insane hazardous pings out of it, up we go playing reach game at 2 inches through rift markers is still really good. I agree that it's probably not an always include model, but it's definitely got to be top of some matchups if we're calling it a some matchups model. There's just so much this model does. The Wind's Wrath makes it even harder to try and lock this guy down if we're doing more scheme type stuff. Once again with plant explosives, right? He's on his bomb, you charge up, even if you fail to up we go him off of his bomb, then you just Wind's Wrath him, you scoot an inch, I scoot an inch, and I pick up your bomb anyways, idiot,
moron.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're playing Guard the Stash. All your guys are off of the vault. I don't even flip any cards. It's so gross.
My perspective on this is I agree with what you guys are saying. Kind of where I think he lands is at the very, very back of always higher. And let me kind of explain myself. I feel like you need a reason within the matchup or the context to not bring him. And if you're not given that specific reason, there's the counter tech is not apparent, then you're just bringing him. So I feel like he's there except on an exclusionary basis of specific matchups. You're basically always hiring this guy. I would say he's the back of always hire because he's when available, bird is the word.
Wow.
I'd put it even maybe a tiny bit. Yes, because the only times you don't hire the bird are so the bird is good when Asami is good. So when Hazardous and displacement is good, the bird is good. So like when you play Asami, you play the bird. There are a couple of times when you don't, or when you think about not doing that. One is Nekima, so everything's flying, and that's a problem. And then the other time is Sonya, because you want burning on the bird, but you're just giving her a free summon target.
Yeah, I agree.
How often have you upwigoed your own models?
Rare, but it does happen.
I've done it to score cheeky points on stuff before, and like I needed something to be in position for raid, so I did it. Like raid the vaults.
Yeah.
But it's not like usually I'm just trying to attack shit, honestly.
So what are we thinking? Not bottom then? Do you want to put it above the?
I think it's at least somewhere on the always higher. That's what I'm fighting for. Anywhere on that list is fine with me.
It's tricky. I think
he's one of the models that I'm looking to cut if I need points for tech.
All right.
At least in Asami 1.
In Asami 2, it's above. In Asami 2, it's either there or even there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, fair enough. I will say now we just need to spell a U, and then we'll get this whole video immediately kicked off YouTube. All right. So let's jump down another bracket to the minions. Now, obviously, we're dealing with the summoner, so a lot of these are probably going to be rated a bit lower than you would expect because you can summon them in an Asami 1. Like, you're not going to hire these, you're going to summon most of them. And also, really good point, Drayson pointed out, they'll all deal with the upgrade, even the Katashiro, and even the Katashiro that are summoned by the model that's not Oni, the Minako Rei. Right. Important there. But let's talk these paper boys first. Katashiro. They always have... No, that's not them. That's the tiger. What am I talking about? They're 3 stones, but it probably won't matter because you're probably going to summon them. They have 3 health. They've got Blade Rush, so they can move through enemy models and model when they charge, and if you do, they take a damage. They can move through any models, but enemy models you move through take a damage. They're made to kill, so when you summon them, or when they place, such as their bonus action we'll talk about in a second, they get a free melee attack, and their demise is not the other one, Spiritual Tear. It's instead called Torn Up, which still does the same thing. It puts a rift marker in. But in addition, it also kills a pass token, because why not? That's a thing. Their melee attack is paper cuts. It's 1/2/2, and then the enemy has to remove a ski marker within one of it. If they can't, then it's 2/3/3, the stat 5 1 inch. And then their bonus action, Paper Blizzard, pulses out a TN12 defense duel, or they take 2 damage. And on a mask, they get to place anywhere within 3, triggering their made to kill. Drayson, what you doing? You hiring these boys, or you just summon them with Minako Rei?
Yeah, you never hire in these. But they are... One of the reasons you're not doing that is because they're 4/4 with 3 wounds and no defensive tech. So if anyone flips a card against them, you just accept that they're dead, and that's okay. One thing is that their demise only works if this model has not activated in terms of destroying a pass token. So it just prevents them giving away activation control while accepting that they are genuinely paper and will die. So they are a walk... they are just a 3-stone significant model. So they just move around, they put scheme markers down, and now that they've got paper cuts, they can attack enemies to remove their scheme markers as well. So you're just using them to add and remove scheme markers, to tie up models, to incidentally do a tiny bit of damage, and to generally just go to places on the board where other people will have to spend walk and charge actions to get to them, and then that's already massively value favored for you. So that they are very, very much throwaway models, and they do very well for it.
Mr. Pope?
Yeah, I agree. There's not much that you can sort of justify hiring these guys for. Paper Cuts is really good at just taking off enemy scheme markers, but the reason why you're never taking these is because you can summon them either in Asami 1 en masse if you really need them, or you just summon them with Minako Rei, who you hired to do this one thing, and you can only have 2 of them. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could ever see myself paying 3 points for one.
I love these models, generally. I think they're awesome, but to me, they're inexorably linked into Minako's card. So like I think of these as being kind of part of Minako when I look at these models. I love them; they're great, but I don't really think I'm literally ever spending soul stones on them because, like Drayson said, you flip a card against them, they could just be dead.
Yeah, I will say I have 2 points for Katashiro. One, also sort of a point for Minako Rei. If you're a Reser player who collects whole factions before you move to 10 Thunders right after Captain Con of next year, I should say. That's a local event that we're prepping for, Drayson. You already have all these models because you bought one Yudo for Reva, so that's plus there. But I would be remiss without saying that the Katashiro, 1, are ballin'. 2, Minako Rei, oh boy. And 3, the fact that they drop a... Doug and I found this out while we were testing it. But I would be remiss to not point out how good they are when you hire Minako Rei out of keyword in Shenlong. I mean, as a versatile in Shenlong, because when these guys die, they drop a rift marker, which is hazardous, and then your other model with Up We Go, the big the 4 winds golem, push you through things or shoot you with his wind thing, and Sensei U has it too.
I used a fast wind golem. I suicided one of these into Archie, Drayson, and it created a rift marker, and then I used a fast wind golem to like bounce Archie around it, and it killed him. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah. You actively suicided it into RG. That's definitely how that went down. It's not. Okay. But yeah, so we're basically you can't summon them outside of one, except for with Minako Rei, so you can always summon them. So why would you ever hire them? That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never hire them. They're like you summon them and then they go into places and they do things with schemes, or they simply die and put a rift where you need it to be, so that you can then use your crew upgrades. Like, they're great.
Yeah, so they don't have a way to drop ski markers on the turn they're summoned, but like you can make them so easily in Asami. It's crazy. Well, let's talk these fiery boys then. Although, are they not fiery boys anymore?
The Obsidian.
Yeah,
they're not.
Oh, okay, cool. Never mind. Let's talk these definitely not fiery boys. I don't know what you're talking about. The Obsidian Oni. So these guys are 7 stone minions. Man, did they change every single thing?
Yes, it was a rework.
Still armor 1 and ruthless, okay? It kept those.
Okay, cool. So this 7 stone minion is armor 1 and ruthless. It also makes a rift marker when it dies. It's got 5s. On the backside, we got exotic weapons, which is a 2/3/4. Like you do. 1 inch. It's got crit strike, but not built in on a minion. Is what it is. Their Flames from Beyond is an 8-inch ranged attack that if the target's within one of a friendly rift marker, you get a plus flip. You see that a couple times already, and we'll probably see it again. And it does 1 blast, 3 blast, 4 blast, and stun, which is not conditional upon the damage, which is really, really good. It's stat 6 against defense, too, with a built-in trigger for Oni models that would be damaged instead heal 2, which is absurd. And it's got Drought Secrets, so if you got a reasonable tome card, you can do that. Rifts in reality, we've already seen it makes a rift marker, but this has a bonus action for swift action to take it again, and then their a trigger rather, for swift action, which lets you take it again. Their bonus action, Uneasy Murmuring, targets a rift marker and pulses out an aura of enemy models cannot interact or concentrate within 2 of that rift marker until the end phase. Drayson, Oni, Obsidian, how do you find them?
Well, so again, there's a pretty big difference here between Asami 1 and Asami 2. In Asami 1, these basically were the crap. I don't have the card for a Jorogumo, so I'm going to summon an Obsidian instead and then have it go boom, which was their old demise. They don't have it anymore. There is no boom. There is no real reason to summon them. And you are much more likely to have the card for a Jorogumo now, or to Akaname, so your reasoning for summoning Obsidian Oni goes way the hell down. The only main reason that Obsidian Oni are played anymore is the fact that their gun, which is not a gun, gives stunned to the target and is a stat 6 versus defense. So essentially they bring stun at range, and that is sometimes, Pale Rider, incredibly game-definingly strong.
Yeah.
One or two things.
The blast on the min's not bad too. For what it's worth, it's not a lot of damage, but
one blast min. So yeah, a couple of things worth mentioning about the not a gun is only the target gains stunned. So don't be thinking you can blast and stun everything. That would be ludicrous. And the second thing is that because the inbuilt trigger is when resolving friendly models that would be damaged by this gain heal 2. So very often what people think and do is try to shoot enemy models, try to win duels. You've got pos flips inbuilt most of the time, right? So you're trying to win that duel, and then you're trying to blast in such a way that blast touches your own models and you heal those Oni. But if you're in trouble, don't forget that you can simply shoot your own model, relent, you're guaranteed to hit, and when resolving that would be damaged, instead heal 2. So you just guaranteed have a heal 2 with no flip, right? Because there's no TN, there's no the trigger's inbuilt. So if you're thinking about a normal heal that you'd normally, any other heal would be a TN 6 at range 6 usually with a heal 1, 2, 3. This is an 8-inch no TN heal 2 guaranteed. That is
the minor downside of becoming stunned.
The minor downside of becoming stunned, but and another downside of you need to be Oni. So, for the love of Christ, don't shoot Minako Rei with this.
Yeah.
Or just do Psycho Wolf it, bro. Psycho Wolf it.
So the other thing that they do is they create rift markers. And originally, when I was looking at Oni, I was thinking, yeah, great, okay, I'll take an Obsidian Oni, I'll put out my rift markers 8 inches away, and then I'll teleport through them and stuff. They're too expensive for that, so they're too expensive for doing that. And the idea that you'd use swift action to get really efficient, like 2 rift markers, yay. Problem is that almost everything you have has a low mask trigger. Low masks are in serious demand in this keyword, and so Obsidian Oni, they are sometimes food because of their stun on their gun. So when you really need stun, you take these guys, and when you don't, you don't.
Yeah, draw out secrets is really nice on the gun too. If we didn't talk about that at length, that's another reason why you would shoot your own guy, even if you didn't want to get the heal. You do not get the heal if you take this draw out secrets, but 1 damage and stun for a scheme marker that wins the game,
Yep. Do you? I assume then, are we thinking probably more often or less often than Ohaguro?
I think more often in 2, less often in 1.
I agree with that.
Yes.
Meow. Look at that. We got some Obsidian Oni on the board. They're so obsidian. They're also on 40 mils.
One of Rich's, Rich from the Danger Planet, our homie, one of his favorite play lines in the game used to be exploding OG Obsidian Oni into people's faces. It's like, he used to describe it to me, and it used to give him such weird joy. He was like, this is the best. And I was like, all right, man. Whatever buttered your muffin, my man.
This is a man that should be introduced to the squash news.
Dude, screw that combo.
I'm sorry, the what now?
He's talking about Squish and Squash.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Stop it. No, he quit Bayou, and he doesn't need to know. And also, he had a kid a couple weeks ago, so, we don't need to tell him for presumably the foreseeable ever.
Excellent.
I don't need to play against that. Thank you. And word on the street is it's getting emergency nerf. That's not really true, but,
All right, what's next? What do we got next?
Next up, everyone's favorite model to see hit the table after deployment. We have the Jorogumo. It's fine. Everything's okay. They're better. So these guys are non-cost minions, although you're never going to pay for them. You're just going to summon them.
In Asami 2 you summon, or in Asami 2.
In Asami 1. In Asami 1, I should say. Yeah. So they have 9 health, defense 5, willpower 7. They're move 6. They've got extended reach, eat your fill. So when they kill an enemy model with a melee action, they heal 2. Demise, they drop a thing, and then Centuries Old is their new ability, I think. Maybe it's not, but I think it is. If they don't have a summon upgrade, they are hard to wound, effectively. But it's not called hard to wound, so it won't get ignored by the 4 or 5 different guns in the game that ignore hard to wound. Now, they have a 2-inch melee. It's called Glaive. It's a 3/4/6 with Puncture, Bloody Fate, so draw a card, and if the target didn't die, discard a card, and pick the bones, which lets you interact after killing. They still have the same bonus action they used to have, Mark of Vengeance, which is a 10-inch stat 6 tool against willpower that stops you from healing until the end of the turn, with a ram for defensive reflexes to gain a shielded. And they have a different bonus action now, Frightening Reminder, which is other friendly model only, push them 4 inches away from this model with a mask for reposition. Another low mask, because why not?
Yeah.
Jorogumo, what do you think, Drayson? Glow up, come down, slight balancing. I think I don't remember the old card too much, but they seem pretty similar.
So the main difference is that they don't get the inbuilt natural positives to attack and damage, right? So with puncture, they used to be able to get double pause on damage, so they could get through henchmen with hard to wound. Like they were just getting that 6. And that's not the case anymore. They've still got puncture, so with focus and puncture, you can get through a lot of stuff and get the 6 in. Right, Jorogumo are incredibly good in both Asami 1 and Asami 2. Asami 1 because they're free and have 9 wounds. Even if so they've got extended reach and 9 wounds, and they've got some self heal. And they're 5/7. So anything that you've got that's targeting willpower is just boned. So yeah, against defense you can kill them, but you still need to chunk through 9 wounds. And if they've got 2 flicker, that means they're effectively lasting 3 turns. So you can't really afford to just let them sit there because they do way too much damage and they prevent healing. So yeah, they're ludicrously good. In Asami 2, they get hard to wound, which isn't hard to wound, which makes them unbelievably good into things like Seamus. And in combination with that, they've then got extended reach, hard to wound that's not hard to wound, 5/7, and armor 2, effectively, when they're near Asami 2. So they become unbelievably strong. The reposition trigger that was put onto the Frightening Reminder is very, very relevant in Asami 2 because it will trigger the crew upgrade. So you can use Frightening Reminder
to teleport. It's crazy.
And then reposition to teleport, and then you can charge afterwards. And because they're a 50 mil, like 50 mils just use the Rift teleport even more than anyone else, so they can teleport. I think it's about an 18-inch charge in a perfect world.
Yeah, it's really good when you have a 50 mil freely teleporting around like that. I remember seeing it for the first time in our game when you piloted it against me, and I was like, "This is crazy! Like this is just crazy."
Now I'm over here.
I think the biggest thing that stands out to me that I just want to highlight a little bit is because this is a very important model for both keywords. Drayson, can you give us a little bit of context or, in your mind, difference, and spend just a second harping on this, the Jorogumo in Asami 1 and its role versus the Jorogumo in Asami 2 and its role? And I get that the J1 in Asami 1 is like, it shows up, it's free, it kills things, and the J2 is like, it teleports and kills things, but can you give us, for the lay person, like one more level below for both of those?
In Asami 1, you almost never want to be taking the walk action with any Oni because you want to be making sure that you are lining up charges for those movements. So whenever you want to move towards an objective or you want to move towards a position on the map, you want to be charging and then attacking, channeling through a rift marker. That allows you to trade without trading. And Jorogumo are particularly good at this because they can hit so goddamn hard in one attack. So Asami 1's upgrade lets you do this once per turn, right? So you need to make it count. And if you want someone to make one attack count, a Jorogumo is your man. Because, 6 with puncture and 3-4-6, I mean, it's just incredible. And also you could pick the bones, right? So it says after killing, take the interact action. So you can charge to a ballot that's off to one side, channel an attack to something that's 8 inches away, kill a shitter that you don't care about, pick the bones trigger, and now, take an interact action. Now, if you're a summoned Jorogumo, obviously you can't interact on the turn that you were summoned, but summoned Jorogumo are tanky enough that they tend to stick around. So there are a number of things that you can do that are pretty janky with summoned Jorogumo. The whip your hair back and forth coordinated thing that was mentioned earlier is a pretty cool little thing that you can get Joros to do. I hadn't really thought of that, to be honest. It's not a play I've made very much, but yeah, good point. In Asami 2, you are very, very often hiring a Jorogumo. Sometimes you will hire 2, and I have hired 3. So whenever Amanjaku and the bird and the hazardous package aren't working, or you expect someone to really lean into hard countering them with a bunch of incorp, you suddenly turn up with 3 Jorogumo that have got pseudo hard to wound and armor 2, and they're suddenly these really tanky, unbelievably hard to kill bubble that heals 2 whenever they kill. Asami 2 can give them fast, so they become triple min 3s at the worst, and they can prevent healing. And then they can friendly reminder each other around with reposition. They can teleport. They can be anywhere you want, and be unkillable monsters. So in Asami 2, they are the powerhouse of your list, especially if the opponent has a way to deal with Hazardous. And in Asami 1, they're still the powerhouse of your list, but because they're free and because you can put them wherever they need to be, and because they can charge at any time and really deliver that one knockout punch that you want to take advantage of with Asami 1's crew upgrade.
I think that's a really good point. It's, in a weird way, I kind of think of them as the value engine of Asami 1, because they're what you're trading with most of the time as your trading tool. Right, so that's what generates the negative value for your opponent. I feel like, by the way you talked about it, you at least somewhat agree with me.
Yeah.
Cool. Pope the Pope DARPA, what do you got on these bad boys?
Yeah, so the one thing that is a little sad about them and some other models is they lost the slow trigger that they used to have, so that you didn't feel as bad about flipping crows. Obviously, you're not feeling that bad about flipping crows if you're actually getting kills with them, but it's not really the trigger you want anymore. So they kind of went from having like 3 relevant triggers down to having only 2 relevant triggers, but I don't think anyone's crying me a river for the loss of the Jorogumo.
Yeah, we're not, Landon.
Even if you should be.
Bro, I don't think anyone's crying 10 Thunders players any rivers at all. I think they're rolling by slowly with their windows down and their middle fingers up. You know?
Or butts.
Or butts
yeah,
out.
But, I'm sad.
For the loss of that trigger, they did gain a movement.
I think Drayson puts most of their utility on the table here. I'm not certain there's a lot to talk about other than the fact that Whip 7 is just absolutely nuts in some matchups, and thus you'll hire more or less of them depending on how much Whip 7 you need in a matchup. But yeah, no, they're definitely quite solid models, both as summons that deny healing to randomly counter tech against different keywords that you didn't need more counter tech against, or just as big butts that tell
cannot lie.
No misfalse. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they cannot lie.
You beat me to it.
He beat us all to it.
That's what we do here, talk about butts and Malifaux at the Danger Planet.
Do you hire them more out of keyword now? Because Centuries Old applies wherever you take them out of keyword, so like in McCabe, for example?
Enough, I have not gone down that rabbit hole with them yet, hiring out of keyword. Mostly just because Flicker was such a really good, strong tool that you would reach out of keyword for, and they don't have that anymore. So the question becomes like, why Flicker? Or why Jorogumo over something else? But
usually the anti-heal.
Like, maybe.
And the willpower and the extended reach and like... Yeah, to be fair...
I feel like usually when I need anti-heal, I'm going for anti-demise and I'm grabbing Charm Warders, but...
Fair.
So
this is... Out of keyword, there are only 2 more points.
So this is an interesting model, right? I feel like it's like an always summon in Asami 1, and like a very frequent hire, if not multi-hire in Asami 2?
It's an auto hire in 2, it's a never hire in 1. You theoretically can hire 1 in 1, but it's not often enough to become a sum matchup. The thing is that the only time you do that is when Joros are so good in 1 that you want to have like get the ball rolling and have so many of them. Like start with 1, summon 1. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's an argument for that, but also if you're playing 2, right, you're going to hire 1, maybe 2, whereas in Asami 1 you can have 6 of them. Like you hire 1 and summon 5. Like, so,
yeah, to a max of 3 at any one time.
Yeah. I think Jason is saying over the course of the game.
Yeah, over the course of a game. Yeah, because they're gonna put one down and then another one.
Joros are good, yes, but what about 5 Joros?
Yeah, exactly.
Where one falls, 2 shall I?
Okay, so this is like the top of auto hire for Asami 2. We can kind of all agree about this. This is one of the core models, right? That she does her business with.
She's above Minako for certain. So the Jorogumo is above Minako. It's in Asami 2 specifically. It's is it above the Kamaitachi? Yes. And is it above Suzaku?
It's gotta be.
I think it's
a tie. It's close.
I've done it, so.
Okay. You've gone and done it. All right, and then in 1 it's a never hire.
Matchups for 1 personally, but it's okay.
Okay, I mean I'm willing to concede that it's kind of like the middle back of some matchups as a legitimate hire. but like an always summon, basically.
All right, I will keep it for now at the bottom of some matchups. Um, let me know if that changes. I have two things to say about these models, and they're both alternative sculpt ideas. So Weird, if you're listening, my God, these models and like there's a couple models like Suzaku. I was pleasantly surprised fits very well. These models fucking do not. They are too big for a 50 mil, and I don't understand why Weird, the company that is in Georgia, hasn't done an alt sculpt that is just the Joro Spider, which is like a whole deal in Georgia. Get John Goulborn wherever you're at, get in the comments. But they could totally do like a super awesome, like realistic Joro Spider. That would be a really cool alt sculpt. Also, like canonically, like Japanese folklore, these turn into ladies. You could just make ladies and they just fit on 50 mils.
Or make their legs just fit on a 50
or
mil.
just resculpt them and make them fit in the game. It's fine. Everything's
like
fine.
they did with the Groot slaying in the tree.
Yeah, then you can sell the old box as a nightmare every Black Friday, and no one will be any the wiser.
Yeah,
just
they'll
like
pine for the Jorogumos that don't fit on their bases for no reason.
Yeah, no, but seriously though, two good. That's two pretty solid alt sculpt ideas. For
I
these
agree.
guys.
Listen, when you're right, Brandon.
Yeah. All right. Now let's talk Tengu. I hear you say. So these guys cost 5 theoretically, but they're minions that you can summon. They have Spiritual Terror, because of course they do. They have 5 health, they have 5 defense and willpower, they have 6 movement. They do not fly. Oh, they do fly. I lied. They're birds, so it makes sense that they fly. They cut that part out where I said they do not fly. They fly. And of course they have stealth, which is, I think, new if I recall.
Yep.
Maybe they used to have stealth.
It is new. They're Silurids, but
they're
not at home
Silurids
because
now.
they're better than Silurids.
Yeah, and they, of course, have Dark... Oh, wait. No, they don't have that. No, they have Leap now, which is built in, which is nice. It's the 5 versions. That's not too bad. Suitless 5 is pretty good. And then their melee attack is 5 against willpower, 1 inch, 1 damage and stunned with a mass trigger for pulled here and there. Drayson. Tengu?
So in Asami 2, because you can keep them alive, so you keep them near Asami 2 early on, and then basically when they leap is a movement and triggers the crew upgrade, so they leap, then they leap again immediately, and then they get to take their AP for the turn. And if you really wanted to, you could give them fast. So then they could leap again, and then take 3 AP. In other words, they can go corner to corner and probably interact as well. They are unbelievably mobile. The only thing they're ever going to be really doing is being very, very mobile and dropping scheme markers where you need them to be, or delivering messages, or whatever it is. Their attack is rarely of note, but it does have stun, so sometimes maybe. In Asami 1, you don't really ever hire these, nor do you ever summon these, and they're not for that. But for Asami 2, they are. I have one in almost every crew. They're right up there with the Kamaitachi for me.
Yeah, I don't think that's wrong. I think that's pretty much where I would place them if I had to place them. There's probably going to be some argument where you could hire them in Asami 1 if you wanted to play a certain way, but I think generally speaking, the style of crew that I want to be playing with Asami 1 doesn't have much room for a 5-point schemer. So I'm pretty solidly with you on those placements.
I literally learned how to play these models by watching Drayson's videos, so I agree with Drayson. He's right. I think he's right. That's what I got. Brandon?
Yeah. I think the most important part of this whole crew is that Tengu model, the one that's like, the one that's like kind of like weirdly jacked as opposed to the other two that are
he's like putting up the double guns. Yeah.
Yeah.
The 2 normal ones, I didn't know what they were the first time I saw them because the jacked one looks like it's a different model. But I don't like that one. I like the normal ones. One has a banjo.
I was thinking about he looks kind of like a wrestler, like a WWE wrestler, and I was gonna put the Hulk Hogan head-do band on him and sculpt the little jersey, and I was like, it's too much effort.
No, he definitely does. You're not wrong, but I don't like the big one. He's kind of,
All right, fair enough.
I'm Team Banjo.
They've never heard of leg day. They just do upper body workout day and nothing else.
Yeah.
They're just Yeah, they're just running around in the void, constantly just pumping iron. That's how they roll.
All right, so where do we put these then? Or
They're already
where do they
out.
Finally fall.
They're already out.
Oh, I'm not watching the stream because I did a bad job silencing my Discord notifications, so I just ended the app. So I'm flying blind here.
What even is Discord? Is that new?
No, it's like a thing. All right, what do we got next?
All right, so now we have the yokai. Unlike anything we've talked about previously, which are all yokai, which is just like the Japanese word for demon. It's not, but it's like kind of everything so far is a yokai. It's fine. I'm mad about the name, but these models are a 6-stone minion. They have 6 health. They have hard to kill. They also, when they die, much to your surprise, I'm sure at this point, will make a hazardous rift marker. They're also twitchy, so after an enemy model ends its activation within aura 6, you can move one, which is neat. They have a unearthly Kama. It's a stat 5 1-inch, where if you're within one of a rift marker, you get a plus flip to duel, which is cool. That's a 2/3/4, and it has a built-in Feast of Vengeance to heal Asami. Asami. And then tear off a bite if you get it to heal themselves too. They have Dark Bargain, which is where the Tengu's Dark Bargain went over to the yokai, which is amazing. And they have a mask trigger that is built in called Flickering, which is remove a friendly rift marker within 1, and when resolving the generated action, the target ignores engagement, which can be good for a bunch of things, but mostly, like tied up areas for stream and scout. So you can drop ski markers with it. You ignore it. It's cool. That's what we got. Wander the Earth is their other action, their tactical action, which is target a friendly model or a model with stunned within 6. Drop a rift marker into base contact with them. Place this model into base contact with the target. And focus cleansing to have itself heal 2 and end a condition on itself. So, they do stuff. Yokai, where are you at, Drayson? Are you playing these boyos?
So this is the model in keyword that upsets me the most. And again, I'm very aware that no one's crying a river for any Asami model. But if you were, this is the one. And the reason is that they had such a cool idea. So you've got this keyword that's got a bunch of 5/7 and extended reach and all this stuff. And then they've just given them a completely different defensive profile, so a 6/5 hard to kill twitchy. That makes them so interesting and cool for raid the vaults or for hold up their forces, especially. They're just such good hold up their forces models, right? They're difficult to put down, and then someone ends their activation near them and they just go twitchy, and now I'm engaging you, and thanks, there's my hold up. And then they've got Dark Bargain, making them efficient schemers. The flickering thing, sort of allowing them to have pseudo don't mind me, a respectable melee for a cheap minion without being busted. So all of this, and the reason, the reason why this doesn't work is because Wander the Earth targets a friendly model or a model with stunned, fine, and then it drops a rift marker into base contact with this model. So instead of being able to project rifts to where they need to be, they project rifts to where you were a second ago and obviously don't need to be because you're leaving. So the rift is in the wrong place. So they don't put the rift where you need it. They don't put the rift where you then get the positive flip on your Kama attack. They don't put the rift where you want to teleport to and to open up space. They don't put the rift where you want to remove it for the flickering trigger on the Dark Bargain. They just shit one out behind them as they're leaving wherever you didn't want them to be. And so that really upsets me because I've tried to make this work. I think there are builds in Asami 2 where you could try, and I did, go triple yokai, and an Obsidian Oni to basically have them teleport around and then use Wander the Earth to teleport to a friendly model and then use a Rift teleport to get to where they want to be and then do some interacting and then be brought back and then healed up, right? Heal them with the Obsidian Oni, heal them with the Asami 2, give one of them, you've got 3 of them, so give whichever one you need fast and then have it go and do a bunch of cool stuff. There's so many cool things that I want to do with yokai and they don't work and I'm pissed.
What do you think do you think the intention, I was just confused by this model, so I was very curious to see what you and Pope the Pope DARPA have to say about it. I just literally couldn't figure out when it made sense to either hire or summon them. And I guess what I'm hearing from you is like, that's the best part. It doesn't, basically. Like,
I'm interested in Landon's view here because I hope it's different than mine, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I'm
the
seeing it as the Invincible meme where you're like, so like, blah, 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 hire or summon, and then you're like, that's the best part. It doesn't make sense to do that ever. So
Well,
Landon,
see, we still have the summonable Dark Bargain minion, right? You used to do Tengus for this.
Here's the spice.
You do it now with Yokai if you decide like, oops, I fucked up with my AP, or I needed 1 extra AP on that other model. Summon a Yokai, bam, I suddenly now have that AP to take that interact you didn't think I was going to take. Unfortunately, that's going to like cost me my summon for the turn, so I'm not going to do that very often.
Yeah.
But like sometimes when it wins the game, it wins the game. Like, and these are pretty respectable shitters, right? If you're trying to build for something like a hold up your forces pool or whatever, where like defense 6 hard to kill minions are fucking horrifying for your opponent to deal with, especially if you're playing Asami 2 for the reductions plus hard to kill plus a billion healing things. Like, I think these are perfectly respectable models, and that the it's a fair point with the Wander of the Earth, but the way I always saw it is that someone tries to kill your Yokai and you're like, nah, peace out, I'm gonna leave you this like bag of flaming dog shit in my place as I leave, and now there's a rift marker underneath you as I go away,
Yeah.
But your dreams
the way
of
that
stunning
Wander
people with an
makes sense.
Obsidian Oni and then teleporting to them have been crushed. Like,
It's the Obsidian, the old Obsidian Oni we have at home. That's what this is. No, you blip out. It drops. You can drop it underneath the model that was harassing you, and then you're like, fuck you, don't attack my Yokai. I'm gonna got my own back. Bye. For an AP, not a bonus action.
Yeah, so like I like these models a decent amount in Asami 2. I haven't gotten a lot of reps in to kind of see all of the reasons why I wouldn't want them, but I think they're at the very least a some matchups model for Asami 2. I don't think I'd ever hire them for Asami 1. I think if I ever wanted one of these in Asami 1, I would have hired the Tengu already. But like, I think there's a respectable Asami 2 SKU list where you just don't hire a model that costs 8 or more for like an in-your-face type aggressively hire to deny, and then
Pope
you
reaching
just
into the
like,
nether sphere here for this hot take.
and then you just like have hold up their forces, and like I don't think you're going to find a better 6-stone model for hold up your forces than a Yokai. I don't know.
fermented
So, like-
maybe in Shen, but yeah, they're good in a hold up in your face pool. I love them and I want to love them, but I don't hire them a whole lot.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's respectable, but like that's my bat.
All right, so then why don't we land? Is it fair to say here that the Brain Trust lands on in Asami 2, they are a niche tech pick, and in Asami 1, you'd rather just be summoning them, basically?
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
They are the very bottom of some matchups in 2. They are close to the
They're
bottom.
never.
of
I would say
higher
they're
in
probably
one.
never. I think we're being a little too gentle here. I think they're straight up. You don't hire these in Asami 1. You have so many other things, and you can.
Oh,
just
they're
summon
in
them.
never higher in Asami 1. There's no question.
Yeah, and so like I was very kind with Betty when we were talking about like models from the starter box that you won't be upset to play. I think Yokai are in that tier of like if you're playing Asami 1, you're kind of upset if you have to bring 3 of these to fill out your list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Betty is at least like has good stats, has diving charge, can do damage. Like
In
yeah,
Asami
can
2,
pick
you're
up
much less
models.
upset to play them.
Can you what's the math on her summon? Can you get 2 of them? Is
No.
that possible?
No, absolutely not. You can get one in an Akaname,
It
I
would be
think.
6 plus
for a
6 plus
13.
3.
Oh, it's +3.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, never mind.
Yeah. If
Okay,
you're going
well-
if you're going low to the bro, it's Drayson already touched on it lightly here. I'm sure he'll talk about it a little more, but yeah, the move is to summon 2 little garbage pail shitters.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just thinking for hold up your forces and stuff like that. There, you can if you could get 2, boy, would that be good?
Yeah, you get one in an Akaname.
Probably not. Yeah, all right. The turn before you want to do it. Not that turn. That's important. Is this where we're going on Asami 2?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fine to me.
Cool. All right. Next up, we have the final minion, the final summonable boyo in the keyword. That's also technically a Bayou model. This is the Akaname. They are a 4-stone minion with 4 health and 4 defense and 4 willpower and 5 move. Because why not? They have perverse metabolism, so they heal from poison. They have horrific odor, so they pulse out a poison to everything within 2. may have models within 2. That's not, you don't have to. And then when it demises, it makes a rift marker. Although it does it a special one because it can also instead do a poison sludge marker because it has a repellent passage, which is the worst name that they could have possibly came up with.
It's a very graphic name for sure.
It's awful. I'm not going to make a pun about it. That's how bad it is. Rancid Tongue, which does not help things along, quite frankly, is a 2-inch melee. They have a 5 with a tome built in for slow. It does 1, 2, 3 in poison, and then built-in tome for slow, but it does end your activation. They have a 6-inch shockwave attack that gives out poison that friendly models can just ignore, so you're not screwing over your other Oni from the Brewmaster side of things. And it can drop scrap on a tome and on a mask. Instead of dropping a shockwave, you can drop a rift marker, which is really strong. It's move 12 for poison 2. And then lastly, their tactical action, because they're a bio model, is remove a marker, because why not? And it gets 3 poison on a 4, within 2 inches, so it's pretty close, but still pretty strong. Drayson, Akaname.
I never hire these with Asami 2, because in the situation where you'd just play Asami 1. You never hire them with Asami 1 because you're just going to summon 2 of them when you want them. And so, yeah, I've played an absurd number of Asami games and have never ever hired an Akaname. They are very, very good for summoning because they hand out slow, so you can basically summon 2 of them and then try to give slow to 2 models, and they can remove a marker on the turn that they get summoned. So you move Asami, summon them within 8. They gain a flicker token regardless because they're a cheap model. They probably gain another one because you summon them near-ish an enemy model. So now they're going to last. Then they get to activate. They get to move 5 twice and then remove a marker within 2. So the range at which you can remove markers now in Asami 1, any marker, not destructible, is absolutely insane. So if, for example, Hoffman 2 with his pylons is just incredibly screwed, especially because he's got a bunch of defense 4 models that your defense 5 inbuilt slow attacks are incredibly good at. The only thing I would stress is that you do need to remember to take your bonus action before you take your melee action if you can, because if you get that through, you do want to declare the grab on most of the time. So be aware that it ends your activation. That's it. They're great.
Now,
Yeah.
I just want to point out that you talked about removing like pylons, but in my opinion, that's like so far down Maslow's hierarchy of Akaname bonus action uses that I don't even care. This thing is being summoned to deny points. You can like summon 2 models that both have bonus action fuck your scheme marker the turn they're summoned. Like, it's so gross just being able to deny someone who's like, well, I can't out-brawl you, so I'm going to go out-scheme you. And you're like, aha, joke's on you. You can't put scheme markers down against my crew ever. Like, I hate more than anything else in the game all of the actions that just let you remove scheme markers at range. Like, it's probably, I think, one of my least favorite things that we have in 3rd edition.
Bro, you dropping Milo's hierarchy out here?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
I call it Milo's.
That's my hot take.
Wild. Yeah. Doug, Akaname, do you have any more?
So my take on these guys is kind of a combination of both of what Drayson said and what Landon said. Like, they seem really efficient for scenarios when you want to deny points, and it feels like a very low effort deny game in a scenario that I found myself in, which is I'm playing Asami 1, I'm winning on board state. My turn 1 Jory J is like right up in their grill, fucking with them, soaking up their AP, dealing damage, killing stuff. And then they've tried to peel and like just like boat race me on scoring. And then I'm like, well, fuck you. You're not going to boat race me on scoring because I'm going to now summon these 2 guys. They're going to target after your markers. And I'm going to play deny game on scheme because you haven't even finished your first course of Jorogumo yet. So like my whole perspective is when they don't eat their first course of Jorogumo and you don't feel like you need to serve them like Jorogumo second courses yet, you can take a quick break, put these into denial positions, and then really just leverage the you're getting schmeggled today train and it kind of snowballs.
Yeah, with an Akaname aperitif.
Yeah, but like
I tend to give them the all you can eat, like 3 rounds of Joro first.
Jason's like, they are paste. My opponent is red paste.
Yeah,
That's very American of you to say, let's just go ahead and shovel three Jorogumos right on the plate at the start.
That's too much Jorogumo. Drayson, that's how people die. Like
but we all know that the main reason you go all you can eat is to try and like beat the house and just to get more money on the plate than that they've charged you for the meal. So it's like, here, have 27 stones.
Yeah, I mean there is definitely play to that, and I do often jam double Jorogumo when possible, but like it's just cool to have the flexibility with these guys, and I think the fact that you can summon them the turn they come down, they can either deny a marker. Or like they can also just like spam shitty little attacks at high value targets. Like they're pretty versatile, you know?
Yeah, this whole Akaname conversation has a whole different connotation now with the hierarchy of needs, but like that's going to have to be a separate video. If you want to see, also I think if you get in the comments, if you want to see Pope and I just go over the entire hierarchy, assigning every type of marker to where it lands and how they need to remove them, I think that would be a fun premise.
The marker tier list.
Pylons, no, I don't even know. This is like 9 levels of pun too deep for most humans, but I just want to say Hoffin's pylons are definitely in the self-actualization tier. Let's move on.
Fucking weird.
And it's not just because that's the only one I remember from like Psych 101.
Okay, so I mean these guys are never hires, but auto summons when needed, or like basically, right? Like they're crazy good summons. You're never paying soul stones for these, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's talk about some out of keyword hires. We have a few because it's Down Thunders, and by a few I mean it's like more than the keyword. So let's talk about. We'll start with henchmen as per usual. So we're gonna go with Mr. Gong, Giong, if you will. Story Thangong. He's kind of a wild model for people to have. So he's a 9-stone out of keyword henchman, 8 stones normally. He has armor. He has well versed, which we saw from Story of Suzaku, and we'll see on the rest of the story models. And he has Take the Hit, but he has Divine King, which is super Take the Hit. So once per turn, he can treat his Take the Hit aura as 6 inches instead of 2 inches. He also has a 2-inch melee that lets you move friendly models within pulse 2 of the target, 2 inches away from the target, and then 2, 4, 5. So it's extra good against things like Black Blood or things where you want your models to move. Unfortunately, it only moves friendly models, so there's not like double dip and synergy with the rift markers. But it has 3 really good triggers. It can do blast damage, it can give him shielded, and it can ignore soulstone reduction. And then he also has a really, really good movement ability, which is for his other AP once per turn, he can just pulse out 4-inch movement, 3 inches of movement to every friendly model within 4. Enemy models have to take a TN13 willpower duel, or you get to push them 2 in any direction. And then he has a surge trigger and a sudden strike trigger, which can then move your models more away if they're still within pulse 2 of the target from bamboo spears. And then lastly, his bonus action Heart of a Child, just flat out 4-inch AoE heals other friendly models. And it has a built-in trigger to flat out damage enemy models, and it has reposition if you want that instead. This guy's rad. He's really good. Drayson, do you find yourself ever hiring Tiangong in Asami?
So, again, I'll start with Asami 2, where you won't see him nearly as much because he's out of keywords, so he can't benefit from Mother's Love, and because he can't ignore rift markers, and there are nearly always rift markers near your stuff, so you'll end up taking the hit into a rift marker, and it might be difficult to avoid that depending on terrain, and because you've got so many rifts with Asami 2, it becomes really hard for him to move around. So less so there. However, one of the only ways that you can deal with Asami 2 is to kidnap her or her models, and Giong does prevent most kidnap attempts from a good distance away, depending on what it is. So if you see a kidnap coming, you might hire Thanh, generally not. In Asami 1, because Asami 2 gives your support models, namely Amanjaku and Kamaitachi and Tengu, that sort of armor, you can hire those models and have them in relevant positions without Thanh. But in Asami 1, Amanjaku and Kamaitachi tend to get targeted down and killed, and so if you're up against a crew where you see that as being very likely, then you can hire Thanh to keep them alive. Does still suffer from the isn't in keyword, thus takes rift damage. But he is a ludicrously powerful model. Generally, there is a reason why you see him a lot. However, I personally don't take him that much in Asami anymore, but I used to, and some people still think it's a very good idea.
Landon?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Than enjoyer in general, but he definitely has his place when you have specific things that you just can't take on the chin from the enemy crew. But generally speaking, I agree. There's less use for him here than in other places, especially since in Asami 1, you're either mostly getting hit with things to your master's face where you have extended reach and protected to already kind of pass things off, or you're getting hit on summons where you don't necessarily care if they live or die. And yeah, Asami 2 already doesn't really need that kind of model. So interestingly enough, one of the less good places for him as a model. I think he still sneaks his way into sometimes matchups, but I don't know.
Yeah. Doug, any?
I mean, I tend to agree with most of what these guys are saying. I'm not proactively looking to put Story of Thangong into my lists. I'm saying, oh goodness, I'm in a problem matchup and I need Story of Thangong in my list. And the biggest example for me is probably in the Seamus matchup, I probably want him. Or some other very specific matchup where I'm looking for a 6-inch take the hit, because it's really expensive to spay 9 soulstones for this guy, bringing him in OOK, knowing that you're going to probably also have to invest additional soulstones in him during the game state. It's a 9 soulstone model that's taking hits, that is looking to take hits that you're probably burning soulstones for reduction on. So you're looking at a net asset valuation here of 11 to 12, maybe even 13 soulstones into this guy over the course of the game. And for me, it's if I'm going to do that, there really better be a good reason. Otherwise, I'm just going to take all these other cracked models and spam Terracotta Warriors.
Yeah, we are going to talk about another take the hit model that costs slightly less in a minute. But so I guess then where are we putting? Do you think he makes sometimes, or we put him in and never?
I think he's a tech pick. He's a true defensive tech pick.
He's a defensive. He's a sum matchup for 1, and he's either the bottom of a sum or the top of a never.
Yeah, I'll put him just for his extra on synergy. I will say I start every Malifaux list, regardless of what faction it is with Thangong.
There are some people out there that think it's I've talked to kids on the internet that were like, "Yo, Story of Thangong in every Thunder's list," and I was like, "That makes no sense to me."
I hire Fan in Asami 1 more often than a Joro or an Obsidian myself, probably.
Ooh, spicy. But certainly not an always food.
No. He's a some matchup pick, and I've moved away from him. But that he's now where I would put him.
Yeah. Fair enough. Pope, how are you feel about that?
That sounds right to me.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I mean, he's really good. He's a good model. I think if you're playing 10 Thunders and more than just a single crew, you're probably going to want him eventually. And good deal, he comes in a box with every other model from Story on this queue list.
Yeah.
Except for the keyword one. Let's talk the next and penultimate henchman in this out of keyword section, not counting Minako Rei because we already talked about her. Desper LaRaux. It's A. It's not O. He's not a Rue. He's not made of flour. Come on. I've been misled. So he's an 8-stone henchman. He has 8 health. 5s across the board. He's got looted supplies, so when he starts his activation, he can eat Scrap or Corpse. To draw a card, he has Don't Mind Me, Expert Getaway, so he can ignore terrain and models while moving. He's got Leap Aside, which is a defensive trigger on masks to place within 3 of his current location, and he's got Loot Their Corpse, so he can eat a corpse marker at the end of his activation for a Soulstone, which is a lot of stuff with a lot of stuff. But did I say Don't Mind Me? I think I might have skipped that. He also has Don't Mind Me, if I didn't say that. He has Hidden Blade, which is a 1/2/4 that ignores armor with built-in Grit Strike. Lol. It's stat 5, though, so it's not the best, but most of the stuff that's really armored is usually pretty low defense. and he's got a mask for reposition. He's got Expert Thief, the action that he learned from the Kruligans, the true wielders of the Expert Thief ability, or action, I should say, which targets a model that uses soul stones. If you're successful, you steal a soul stone from them. But it has a reposition trigger, a stunning strike trigger, and a drop a scrap marker within 2 inches of the target trigger, which is only once per activation. He also has a ranged projectile attack called Grappling Hook that does 2/2/3 with pull and drag, and You're Coming With Me. And then, of course, he has his famous leap, which is a suitless 7 leap. It's kind of high cost, TN-wise, but you always have the mask. But he gets known for it anyway, because he's a henchman, so. Desper, the schemer extraordinaire. Drayson, you ever taken Desper in Asami?
So he's a generally good Thunder's, out of keyword sort of versatile kind of model. You tend to see him a fair amount. But in Asami 2, we have Tengu, who are actually more survivable than him because of a mother's love, with an easier to hit TN leap. And then because they're in keyword, they have the crew upgrade, so they get to double leap. So they are more mobile, they have stealth, they are, if anything, more survivable so long as they're anywhere near Asami. And so they don't have any of his abilities, but often we're using Desper for his mobility and interacts. Looted supplies and Loot Their Corpse have some sort of counter synergy with Oni because Oni never drop. Almost no models are dropping corpse markers or scrap markers. They're only dropping rifts. So there are very few living models in the crew, and one of them's Asami, and if she's dead, you're not happy. So in Asami 2, I don't think you're hiring him. But Asami 1, you could consider it. The one good thing, like the synergy that is there, is he does ignore terrain while moving. So he can move through your rifts and ignore them, but he can't take actions while standing in them and ignore them. So that's something to be aware of. Where I think he gets a little bit spicy is I haven't managed to play enough games of it yet, but I think there is a semi-viable execute list with Asami 1. Asami 1 has execute on her melee, so you can stone for it. She can channel it through rifts. And so if you steal their stones with Desper and then drain their hand with some out of keyword models, then theoretically you could then go for executes with Asami 1, and that would be very cute. I don't think it's top table competitive, but I think someone who enjoys that kind of list could have a go. And Lady Yume has execute as well, but you'd have to cheat for that, so meh.
Yeah.
I was really confused why we put him on the list here to begin with, and I'm kind of not sold after your pitch. Like, I don't think what you want to do in Asami needs Desper very much, and I think if you need that sort of thing, you have cheaper options in keyword.
I think he's just generally a good model that most 10 Thunders players have in their pocket of OOKs,
Yeah, I just don't think he makes any sense for the crew.
Sure, and that's a valid perspective, and I genuinely, honestly kind of agree with you, but it's hard to deny the raw power level that he brings to the table as a model that 10 Thunders can hire,
Yeah, and the extra frustration that he deals out specifically to Reser players who, according to Pope Darpa, sniff glue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pope Darpa believes that
Facts.
literally every Reser player out there is just one big glue sniffing cult community, and they just hang out and huff CA glue while they're building their weird models.
Okay, firstly, we don't sniff CA glue, Doug. That's offensive.
Sorry. Elmer's glue? I don't know.
That wouldn't do anything. Now we're just...
I don't know, man.
The one thing that we haven't mentioned, which is relevant, is that the one thing that So yes, there is he's cute because there's an execute build that exists, right? Fine. But the other thing with Desper is that Thunders don't have a huge number of armor ignoring things, and the one thing that beats Asami. So when Asami is playing for Hazardous, the thing that beats Asami is the combination of armor, so reduction, which is usually armor, and anti-hazardous, and so. If you know that people are planning to bring that, then you can bring Desper, and you've got an armor-ignoring attack. It is defense 5, but it can crit for 6, ignoring armor, and things which have armor 2 are very often defense 4 or 5. So that's another reason why he's worthy of a mention, if not a higher.
Yeah, that's fair.
Into Ma, for example.
I feel like he's like, for me, he kind of lands on the he's like tech, but expensive tech that you're probably only taking if you really, really need to for some reason.
Yes. Oh, but he has expert getaway.
So I figure that lands him kind of a little bit behind, like right behind Story of Thangong in my mind, kind of. Basically, they're both kind of expensive tech pieces. You probably see more games with Thon than you would relative with Desper.
I'm somewhere between you and Landon there, so I think he's quite a bit lower than Than, but he's not a never higher. I put him in at the bottom of the some matchups in 1, and he is a never in 2, probably. Maybe like the very top of the nevers, or
you just don't need the mobility in 2.
Yeah, you don't need them. So the mobility is completely wasted in 2, so you're just hiring an anti-armor piece, and I don't think that's worth the amount that you pay.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So expert getaway though, he ignores terrain, so he ignores your rift markers.
Yeah, but only while moving. So when he's standing in them.
So he won't take them while taking actions. Yeah, good point. Well, nonetheless, that's Mr. LaRaux. Look at him, Desper. That's what.
Look at me, I'm Desper.
Let's talk my favorite model for 10 Thunder players to hire against me. I'm currently undefeated in guessing correctly at Hit the Jackpot. I've never once guessed wrong, and I'm not going to start now. Okay,
I feel that in my bones.
Yeah, it's great. I love it. Yeah, Gwyneth Maddox. She's a 9-cost henchman, so she'll be 10 in this. 9 health, 5 defense, 6 willpower, move 5. She has Luck Thief, which, if you haven't watched one of our videos talking about Luck Thief, it's really good. It's super strong. All plus flips become neg flips, and when enemies fail targeting her, she heals 2. She has Rig the Deck 3, so you get to draw 3 cards and put 3 cards on top of your deck, so you know what the top 3 cards are going to be. And then she has the part, which is vibe, does a whole bunch of stuff for a whole bunch of things, but effectively gives you better hand. The Party Never Ends is after an enemy model cheats fate within 6 of this model or 6. The enemy model gains a Brilliance token, which I don't strictly think is relevant.
No, it's super relevant. Her melee procs damage off of it.
Oh, does it?
It makes her melee into a min 3.
Yeah, if they have multiple.
They're going to.
Okay. And then her resistant trigger, Unimpressed, defense and willpower crow, which isn't built in, so you gotta add it. But when resolving, so it always happens if the attacking model declared a trigger, reduce the damage by 2. So pretty good. She has Card Shark, which is a 1/2/3, but +1 damage per Brilliance token to a maximum of 2. So you got to get Brilliance tokens on people, but they don't go away from it. So once they're there, you're good. Stat 6 against willpower 2, which is pretty good. And it has target gains Brilliance equal to the number of masks or Deja Vu, so discard a card, draw 2 cards, so she can draw some cards there. She has an 8-inch Derringer, which is a stat 6, which is a 2/3/4 with the light inside also, so you can give them more Brilliance tokens, and it has Draw Out Secrets, which is really strong. Come Play at My Table is enemy models within Pulse 6 have to pass a TN13 willpower duel or be placed into base contact with this model, which presumably will be into rift markers as well. And then models with 3 or more Brilliance get a neg flip to this duel, and a mass trigger for models placed by this action gain a Brilliance token. And then lastly, Hit the Jackpot, which says the opposing player chooses a number between 0 and 14. Reveal the top 3 cards of this model's fate deck. If none of the revealed cards have a value equal to the chosen number, draw 2 of them, discard 1. Otherwise, discard all of the revealed cards and the opposing player draws a card. If you're playing against me, it says discard all of those cards, Brandon draws a card. Drayson, what do you think?
In Asami 2 has a load of TN 5s and 6s, and then after that is relatively happy just sort of flipping cards, cheating the occasional one, but just seeing what happens and getting grind value through rifts. So she doesn't need 13s to push through one action on anyone. She just needs a bunch of actions, and she needs a bunch of TN 5s and 6s, and she'd like it if some of them go off. That'll be relevant when we come to talk Kenshiro later on. But Maddox is more about having a super stacked hand and having like guaranteed shitloads of severes and being able to refill your hand after you've dumped it all on a, and Asami 2 just doesn't need that. Asami 2 also puts rift markers everywhere, and so and Gwyneth can't ignore them in any way, and she's quite a slow model, so she doesn't like to have to move around things. So Asami 2, Gwyneth, not a fan. Asami 1, I think Gwyneth is the first model that I put in the crew before anything else. Because she will guarantee the summon of your choice. She will make it very likely that you find the red if you want the triple summon. She will allow you to get the 30 the high severes that you need to push through that Asami 8, her mini Seamus impersonation. Maddox enables all of these super relevant things. If you need Minako Rei to make sure that she wins her defensive duel so that she can put the fucked upgrade on someone, if you need to make sure that the flaming bird hits his attacks to then do 2+1+1+2+1+1+1+1, then you're going to need a bunch of severes, and Maddox just gives you them pretty much every time. And then in the end game, she can wander up and shoot some of your own models and draw out secrets for the schemes wherever you need them. She's ludicrously good.
And if someone dives your backline, she can very quickly become a min 3 beater against whatever that divey model is.
Yeah.
With willpower melee, because they're usually having to cheat cards to do stuff around her. So she becomes a stat 6 min 3 beater when you need her. I thought the thing that I didn't understand internally until you explained it to me, Drayson, from a play loop perspective, was you trigger her, you get to look at 3 free cards. Then if you can stack a shitty crow on the relent, that's another 2 free cards once you charge a friendly model. It's like stupid model just draws like 6 cards a turn sometimes. Very easy.
She draws 6 cards almost every time I activate her.
Yeah, like 6 to fucking 10 cards. It's absolutely nonsense. And
then she draws 6 and looks at about 15.
And then late game she enables scoring with range to draw out secrets, and she also has pretty good dive tech against beaters because pretty quickly she can get to a decently respectable melee attack against specific targets. Like, I used to think this model was a joke, and then I played it once and was like, oh, this model is immediately not a joke. Like, this model is very good. Oh, okay. Probably just everywhere that wants cards, basically.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I mean, we've included it. We're talking about it. So what exactly is the, like? Do you want to spell out how it works for people?
I guess Drayson. My understanding. So Drayson explained this to me. So I'll explain really quickly, and then Drayson can just correct me. Basically, this is like it's like a card engine, right? So you go with her. You activate Rig the Deck. You look for whatever good cards you want from that. You keep them. If you can, you selectively put back a shitty crow on top of your deck with the Rig the Deck, and then you charge a friendly model that either you don't really care if they get hurt, or you can heal them up later, and then you get the Deja Vu trigger, which is discard a shitty card, draw 2 cards. So then you can use that rig to get back those 2 other cards, and then you just like immediately always jam, hit the jackpot, and the majority of the time math says that that's going to result in you drawing cards. Drayson, correct me as I'm wrong here.
No, that's so. It's there's a little bit more to it than that, but that's pretty much it. So when you rig the deck, you not only put a shitty crow on top, you also put 2 other shitty cards that you've got. So you get your 3 worst cards out of your deck. Because the other 2 get spent on the damage flip that you relented. So you've now got 3
Yeah, you're
weeks.
You're burning them in the nether oblivion of the damage flip.
Yeah, it's like you get to mill 3 weeks, and you then get to draw 2, and you discard another one for the trigger, right? So you mill like 4 weeks, basically, draw 2. Then you hit the jackpot and usually draw 2 more. Often that will be either high cards or the second crow that you want to be able to do this again. And then you run through the whole sequence one more time. So you end up drawing 6 cards, milling about 8 weeks, and sometimes you end up putting 1 or 2 good cards into your graveyard. But like, it's your discard. It's just a ludicrous card engine, and Thunders can slot it into any crew that wants cards.
Fair. Landon, what do you think?
This is like the one keyword I hired Gwyneth in, because you don't actually care if she isn't a real model for the entire game, because you can just summon those. And so the downsides of Gwyneth being a slow model that doesn't contribute much to a game plan outside of cards kind of go away because you just have enough to do the rest of it. So yeah, I agree. It's kind of like an auto-include in Asami 1, and the downsides of Maddox really start to resurge its ugly head when you start playing Asami 2, and so I don't think I'd ever hire it there.
Yeah.
Like, it's still a move 5 model that can get pushed into all of your hazardous and doesn't do anything to your opponents really until they start cheating near it, and then you start hitting them. So like, it's really, you're only hurting your own guys to draw cards with her AP most of the time. So
I mean, a lot of the move stuff though is willpower duel. So like, I feel like Luck Thief kind of takes care of that in and of itself. So maybe not. I mean, unresisted movement, sure, but so are Drayson, are you also in the auto include train on Asami 1?
Yeah, I put her very, very high. Like, she's right up by Amanjaku for me in Asami 1.
It's like the Frank's Red Hot sauce of Asami 1. You just put that shit on everything.
Yeah. And then lick your fingers. Like, you just can't get enough. It's like, yeah.
Because I think basically the core essence of what we're all talking about is Asami 1 turns high cards into on-board model value. And this model enables that immediately and directly.
She also turns high cards into immediate and irrefutable death.
Yeah.
At the same time in the same activation. Like,
via Jorogumo meals.
Well, no, via her, like Jorogumo and her melee. Like, she wants to do both, and she needs a ludicrous number of very high cards to do it. And Maddox says, "Sure, here you go."
Yeah, no problem. I got you.
Yeah, I'll defer to you guys, but I'm going to declare her resistance trigger against this whole bullshit. Which is to say, I'm unimpressed.
We need to have a game.
Yeah, but I'd love to. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so that's Gwyneth. What do you think? Top right below, right? I mean, above Thangong in Neverhire. You think?
I put her at the very bottom of some matchups in Asami 2 personally, but I understand why you might want her in the Neverhire. I'm fine with both.
I'm gonna put her in Neverhire. Yeah, Landon, you're on the Never track.
I'm on the Never track.
2. Yeah, fair enough. Well, let's that's it for Henchman. We're not talking about anymore. Let's talk about the Lone Swordsman.
His true form. The stab it rabbit. The stab it rabbit.
Yeah, he's a guy. He does stuff. You know, he's a versatile model.
I'm literally painting the stab it rabbit right now on my painting desk as we're talking.
No.
He's amazing.
He has 8 health, armor 1, hard to kill, adaptive, so he gets a free suit, ruthless. That's kind of the deal. He's got a 2/4/5 with crit strike at stat 6. If it doesn't have crit strike, it instead can give you a pass token. It can do it again, but a different model or delay. He has creep along, so he gets some extra movement, and then last breath is his sort of unique thing. He gets plus flips to his duels, push 5 towards the model and get an attack on it, and then at the end of the activation, if he hasn't killed that model, if he has killed that model, you get a soul stone. If you haven't killed that model, he takes 4 irreducible damage. But he's hard to kill, so like, you know, it won't kill him unless he's at 1. Drayson, do you ever hire the Lone Swordsman?
So I don't know what he's doing here, and I'm interested to hear. I don't hire the Lone Swordsman very much in any crew, and I certainly don't hire him in Asami because he can get pushed around in your own rift markers. You've got Jorogumo's. Why, like, they if you need someone to deal some melee damage, we're good. We got you. Like, and then we've got the Amanjaku that can also chunk people. He gets through hard to wound models usually. Like, that's one of the reasons, because you've got your focus and you've got your last breath. But we've got Joros that can be given focus by Amanjaku, and then they've got the puncture trigger. So like, everything that he does, a Joro does better, and I'm really interested to hear why you would take him.
I wouldn't. I didn't advocate for his placement on this list here. I think he has.
Oh, I assumed it was you.
Problems that you have just mentioned.
You just assumed that.
Nope.
I
have no love for Lone Swordsman here. I don't think I would take him.
So the only thing I'll say is that, like, he's ruthless, and that's good sometimes. But I think
you got Whip 7 models here. They're ruthless. The terrifying is not a huge deal.
I know. I just. Like, the thing that makes it really tough for me, and again, I love Stab It Rabbit, like, unreasonably, Like, I'm gonna try to force him into every list possible.
So you're
when
the one
it's-
responsible for this steaming turd turning up on
No, listen. Hey, I'm trying to like figure out a way. The issue is that he's a melee character that wants to go and attack things and is not like resistive to the hazardous in any way. So he's probably going to be around that. He's going to be exposed to it. He's going to have his charge lanes limited by it. He's a rabbit and has katana, and it's cool.
Wow.
That's
It's
my.
cool.
I don't know that he has a rabbit. Is a rabbit.
He's a rabbit
All
with
right,
katana.
well,
that's my
yeah,
that's my
smart.
pitch, and I love him.
Fun fact: they don't call him the Stab It Rabbit in the app. They call him the Lone Swordsman 2, like he's a minion that you can hire too, which is really funny. It's a funny type. All right, so
I just think you don't hire this guy in these keywords.
We're never hiring him. Let's talk the Monkey King then. Story of Sun Wukong is a hell of a guy. He's a story, so he has well versed, like you do. We've kind of already talked about that a bit, but it lets you look at the top card. And if he is, if you don't want it, you can pitch it once per turn. But he costs 8. He's got 7 health. He has demise, 7 means of immortality. So once a game, if he's killed, he heals 4 and is buried. And then if he was buried this way specifically during the start phase, you can unbury within 3 of any table edge, not in an opposing player's deployment zone, which is usually most of the board.
I love this monkey.
He's got extended reach. He's got a defensive trigger called Quick Getaway, which is push 5 in any direction after resolving. So if the opponent hits him and you have a mask on a defense tool, you just get to do it, pass or fail. He's unimpeded as well, which doesn't really protect him at all from the rift markers, but it does help a little bit with the terrains. And then he's got a 2-inch everything. He has 2-inch melee, which plays within 2, then do 2, 3, 4 damage, and it can pulse out an extra point. It can pulse out, 2 extra points of damage to other models of the model other than the target. Yeah, from within 1 inch of him. He's got Journey to the West, which is not an attack, not a melee attack, but it's an attack with 2-inch range. Needs a 7, and you push your move, place the target in base contact with you. It's got a good for a laugh trigger, which lets you draw more cards, which is always good. But he has no way of building it in, and outside of maybe the well versed if it's not a tome. And then when resolving, he can move through other models, which is kind of cool, and make them take a TN 13 defense duel, or they'll take damage and engage staggered. And then lastly, his bonus action, which can't be taken while engaged, pushes him his move, ignoring models in terrain, and drops a ski marker in base contact. And it can pulse remove up to 3 markers within 3. Move 3 markers within 3, and it moves each chosen marker up to 2, which is wildly good with rift markers. You're not going to hit the same target multiple times, but moving 3 rift markers just blippity bloppity is pretty rad. You're close to the rift markers though, so I worry about that. Are you ever taking Sun Wukong in Asami, Drayson?
It's quite rare. But he's a 4 AP model, essentially. So he gets his 2 regular AP, and then he gets to do his bonus. He gets to well-versed to find the TN for that bonus, so you rarely have to cheat it. Sometimes, yes, but you've got 2 shots at getting the 7. And then that bonus basically lets him take another walk and drop a scheme. So in the region of 4 AP, and he can do crazy movement stuff like charge something. So he charges 7, hits them. As a result of that, he gets placed within 2 of the model. So you've got your movement plus 2 inches plus the enemy model's base plus another 2 inches, and then you get to place your base. And as long as they don't have a 2-inch reach as well, you can then just go about your day with your bonus on the other side of them and stuff like that. So you can also do that and charge your own models, for example. So you can get some very serious distance with Wukong. He is effectively immortal if they don't have anti-heal or anti-demise, and extended reach, and the fact that he's miles away usually makes him very hard to kill, even if they do. And so then you've got, that's a very mobile schemer. In Asami 2, you really don't need that. You've already got the Tengu, so I don't think he's going into an Asami 2 list. And again, he doesn't get around the fact that rift markers are hazardous in any way, so I don't think he shows up there. But in Asami 1, you do sometimes, because you hire it, you're paying so much for Maddox, and you're paying a lot for Amanjaku, and she generally wants to be up front and center. She sometimes struggles to get scheme markers out where they need to be. So in a schemy pool, but you've wanted to declare Asami for faction reasons or for matchup reasons, I could see maybe taking Wukong. He does have that kidnap, so if you've got some hazardous setup going, you can kidnap people in with Journey to the West, and the speed of a meteor tome trigger thing to push 3 rifts under 3 people and deal 3 damage is cute, but I very much doubt it will come up enough to worry about, but it's cute if you get it.
Yeah, fair enough. Landon. What do you?
I think 9
think?
points is too much for a schemer out of keyword, and that's why I don't really tend to take Sun Wukong to begin with in most of my Thunders lists.
You used to
think
take
for
Kitty
many
quite a lot.
of the reasons that Kitty's different, and we can go over that if you want, but for many of the reasons that I said, I don't really like Desper. I don't really like Sun Wukong in this particular instance either. He does have some cute stuff with his kit, but like, I think most of the time if you're hiring this model, you're not using any of the cute stuff, you're just scoring points with it. And in the pools where I think you want to play Asami, I don't necessarily see a lot of the value that this model brings. I don't know.
I just love the monkey. I mean, I agree with you guys. I'm probably not bringing him OOK into Asami all that much. But again, I think it's worth at least discussing him and kind of talking roundtable here about him a little bit. Because
I think he might be the most overhired model for
Right.
his functionality in 10 Thunders.
Right, and that's what I was about to say, is like, most players have this guy in their OOK toolkit, and I think because of the hype around him, he might be an example of a model that is sometimes overplayed, where people just assume it's the right thing to hire him because he's good in so many other crews, in so many other pools all the time. But the reason why I don't think I'm as excited about it is kind of what you said as well. You said he's, 9 soulstones. While 4 AP is incredibly efficient, if I can find a model for like 5 to 6 to 7 soulstones that's in keyword that can maybe pump out 3 AP efficiency but has synergy basis, that's probably more preferable to me in Asami specifically. And I think it's good to illustrate this model as a discussion point because it is a highlight of some players knee-jerk jamming strong OOKs into lists almost blindly. Because I know that, like, I myself have been guilty of that sometimes. And I think it's just worth mentioning as a discussion point.
Yeah.
So where are we putting him? Not at all? Never?
Asami 2, never.
Yeah.
I think everyone's agreed on that. And then Asami 1, I put it with Desper.
Yeah, he's like a Desper-esque model.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah, I think you should go all in on trying to move Scheme Workers with Havoc in Heaven. But I don't play 10 Thunders yet, so maybe don't listen to me. Kenshiro! Look at that guy. This guy's a tactician. He technically, I don't think forged the Masamune, but he had it for a while. So he's a lad.
He was chilling with it for a good amount of time.
Yeah, he's a 7 cost, although 8 out of keyword Enforcer. He has 7 health. He has battle tempo, so from the Vix, he gets to push 2 in the start phase. He's got combat tactics 2, so during the start phase, he gets 2 tactics tokens, which when a friendly model would cheat Fate, he can pitch a card to cheat with the top of its Fate deck. He has Fleet of Foot, so basically just him, but when a friendly mercenary or retainer is pushed within 8 by a friendly effect, it can move instead. I don't think there are any other... Oh, I guess Retainers is Yanlo. So maybe, but we haven't talked about any. So, he's a ghost. That's important. And when he dies, you get to put an upgrade on people, that give them 1 tactics token and pseudo unimpeded, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't honestly. Yeah.
It also, I think, lets you ignore models. It's like,
yeah, you get to.
It's like fake incorporeal is the way I think of it.
It's fake ghost, fake unimpeded. Yeah, it's weird. His melee attack is stat 7 against defense. It's called reverse momentum. It does 1, 2, 3, and then you move the target up to 3 inches. With a coordinated strike, which is pretty rad, and 2 extra damage, ignoring armor and incorporeal. He has Master Tactician, which only targets the enemy leader and makes them discard a card at random for each of their unrevealed schemes, which is a weird ability, but it's neat. And it's 6-inch range, stat 7 against willpower. Once per turn, a tome you can outwit to make the model's controller gets a tactics token, and you can discard a card to have its controller instead gain 2. And then he has Seeking the Blade, which until the end phase, a friendly model within range that succeeds at a melee action can look at the top 2 cards of its fate deck, and if either is a joker, you reveal and draw it. Put the rest back on the top of the deck in the same order. And then New Horizon is place target a ski marker, place the target anywhere within 6 inches of its current location, and it needs a 3 of tomes. Kenshiro. All right, Drayson. What is this? I haven't seen this model in a while. Why are we talking about him today?
This model is Source in Asami 2. And that's why he makes the list. So you won't see him that much in Asami 1. But Asami 2, he's really very, very good, to the point of he's at the bottom of auto for me, at the top of some. Here are all the reasons why. Asami 2 needs a shitload of TN 5 and 6s. She needs approximately 8 of them every turn. And they are not vital, but your turn will be a lot better if they're going off. And so his tactics tokens are absolutely perfect for that. So it's for when you don't absolutely need something to go off, but it'd be really nice. And there's a really good chance that if you flip another card, you're going to get it. So he gets to do that twice per turn. With his inbuilt tactics tokens, and they help you get your rift economy going, they help you get your heals off, they help you get your rift pushes, they help you get so many different things, your leap with the Tengu, and all this sort of like, it's not important enough to cheat, but it's definitely great if you get it. He makes the great happen. Then, his incorporeal means that he's one of the very few out of keyword models that actually works well with a rift heavy master, and his 6/6 incorporeal is good enough defensively where not having a mother's love apply to him is okay. That's the biggest weakness, I would say, is that suddenly you've got a model that they can kill, and so they'll try. But he's not the easiest to put down, and if they're going for him in the middle of your crew, then everything else eats them. The main thing is he is incredibly good displacement. So reverse momentum has it's stat 7, so you're almost always at a stat advantage, sometimes a 2 stat advantage, and you attack them, deal damage, and then move them. So this is when we're playing for the Hazardous. So we've got Amanjaku's aura up, and we've got a rift marker in place. We then run up and smack them with Kenshiro, and we've now got a 1, 2, 3, +1/+1 every time we hit them, and the 2 triggers are absolutely devastating. So coordinated strike, if you then hit them, if the bird, so he works incredibly well with the bird. So if you can hit them and then move them up to 3 inches towards Story of Suzaku, and then take the coordinated attack, then they get the following. They get 1, 2, 3, +1/+1, followed by 2, +1/+1 per attack. And if that wasn't good enough, we've got the Weeping Blade, which is, the other possible trigger that you can get, which is +2 damage, so he becomes a 3/4/5, ignoring armor and incorp, and then on top of that, you've still got the movement, and therefore probably +1/+1. So one of the things that people try to bring against Asami 2, especially if you're known for playing her, which I was at the time, is the armor. Because armor is pretty good at soaking up Jorogumo hits, and it's good at soaking up Amanjaku's min 3. But then Kenshiro just comes up and claps them by pinging them around to death in Hazardous and by ignoring armor. So Kenshiro, amazing tech. The Seeking the Blade could be cute in Asami 1. If you were playing Asami 1 with a really, really heavy focus on Hazardous, you could run Kenshiro. And the reason that Seeking the Blade's good there is because you can avoid the Black Joker on a summon, which is one of the only ways Asami 1 can lose a game.
Wild.
Professor
Landon?
Popington,
What do you think?
his
Kenshiro?
DARPA-ness.
Yeah,
Kenshiro.
tactics tokens are really cute, especially into crews like Drayson's saying, where it's like you have a lot of those 4s or 5s you want to hit, and like you never want to cheat a big card for that. You only got so many crap cards, right? So it's a little bit of luck protection, and just like coordinated attack into Suzaku is just so gross. Like if you want to be violently ill, just count up the min damage of a coordinated attack, push into Hazardous, while in like the Amanjaku shit with the then, up we go into the Suzaku, who then yeets you back into it. You got 4 damage from pings before we even look at the attacks.
It's like the roller coaster ride from hell.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Rude. This is rude. Don't do this to people.
So
very
awesome. All right. So, I mean, you agree, Pope? It's pretty disgustingly good,
It's
right?
pretty disgustingly good.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So where
What?
we need a fourth category of if you're a gentleman, don't.
If you're a gentleman, please don't do this to your opponent.
But that would be we have that. It's called this entire thing.
So is he like
Oh, no.
he's like close to an auto hire in Asami too, right? He just kind of
Yes.
has to be. Yeah. And then
He's
Asami
right there with
1.
Minako.
So let me make a pitch to you guys about him in Asami 1 now, right? He has
Are you gonna try and sell us a bridge, Doug? Is that what's happening?
There's
I'm
a bridge being sold here, I think.
I'm gonna try, yeah. So he has coordinated attack, which again, once per activation, you can get a swing out of stuff, right? So, like, if
Are you
can get the
cheating for
coordinated
that
track-
though?
I don't know. Ideally not. Listen, this bridge is not as sound as yours. I'm just saying.
Okay, yeah.
It's
I
an
mean, like,
additional bridge. Like,
I don't hate him in Asami 1. I don't hate him. He's all right. But
and he doesn't get hurt by hanging out. Like, the incorporeal is what stops you from giving a shit about the hazardous, right?
and he
So
still brings a decent anti-armor attack, and people tend to try and bring armor.
Yeah, exactly. He's like a Bob when people expect you to weave type model to me. And in my experience, like, those can be really powerful moves when you show up with Kenshiro and like your opponent's like, what the hell's going on here? And then you're like, it's cool, bro, don't worry about it. And then like on turn 2, you hit something with a stat 7, like, and you get the coordinated track trigger, and they find out that day what's about to happen to them with some Jorogumo attacks coming at them, plus the synergy with the incorporeal component, plus like just a good stat 7. He can do like a poor man's version of what you just described, which is still really good, right? Because you're still running bird, you still have hazardous, you're still moving people. So if somebody like wasn't in a token, you can just hit them and move them into it, and they're just there when they have to activate, which kind of sucks for them.
Yeah.
It's not as strong a play, but I still think might be worth testing in certain scenarios.
He's
I don't think people will
he's
expect it.
around like Obsidian Oni Jorogumo kind of territory.
Yeah, I would put him 1 in front of a higher Jorogumo in Asami 1.
That seems reasonable.
I just think his tech is really cool, and I love the fact that he has a stat 7 and he ignores the rift markers with Incorp that also gives him other upside defensively and movement based.
Wow. Well, that's a lot of nonsense. I don't like that. Don't do this.
He's a cool guy.
But maybe do this. I mean, I think the real cost of this model is that then you have to own Yanlo too. Which is rough, guy. All right, so let's talk the next and final enforcer, penultimate enforcer, Story of Raijin. This guy is a story model, so he has well versed. We've covered that. He is 8 cost, so 9 in this crew, 8 health, 6 defense, 6 willpower, 5 movement. He has Fujin's Wind. After when an enemy model within pulse 3 activates, which I always fucking forget. I keep forgetting this fucking ability. You have to take a TN13 move duel, or this model may push it up to 3 inches, which obviously has amazing synergy with rift markers. But and he is hard to wound. He is middle of the storm, so models within aura 3 take 2 less damage from projectile attacks. That's kind of rude. Once per activation after he's moved, enemy models within Pulse 2 have to test TN 12 defense or take a damage and gain stunned. And then the backside of his card, he has a melee attack called Tempest, which is stat 6 against move. Place the target within one of this model, again, rift marking, 2, 3, 4, with a reposition trigger and a tome trigger to pulse out a TN13 move duel or slow enemy models. Thunderstruck is his shockwave attack. Once per activation, it's a shockwave 2, move 13, 2 damage and stunned. This model can ignore the effects and instead heal 2, so when you use it, you place the blast over him and he gets 2 extra damage. And it has Surge, 2 extra health, Surge, and then Electric Fields, which is until end phase, enemy models treat the area within Aura 1 of friendly ski markers touched by the blast as another layer of hazardous. And then he has Maddening Drums, which lets you Choose a marker within 6 inches in line of sight of the target, but it's a 10-inch range. 6 against willpower, but you need at least a 6, and you push the target into base contact with the chosen marker. Remove all markers in base contact with them, and then the target suffers 2 damage for every marker removed this way to a maximum of 4. It's also got a reposition trigger, and then he has a bonus action, discard a card to heal 1, 2, 4. Juggernaut. So he heals so much damage, but he doesn't really have any way to not die to a million rift markers. Drayson, what do you think? Raijin? Are you Raijin-ing?
I like him a lot. I like him a lot in a lot of different crews for a lot of different reasons. I like him in Asami quite a bit. You make some valid points, though, that defensively he can be in trouble. I put him in very much the same bracket as Kenshiro. He is slightly... Nah, it's tricky to say. Right. Fujin's Wind is normally a mild irritation. It's like, oh, I have to take a TM when I activate, and they will always flip a 13 when they don't care, and they will always flip a 1 when... whatever you flip, you're annoyed. Like, but then, you know, oh, okay, so I get pushed, cool. But in Asami, you're standing in Hazardous 2 most of the time. So it's like, now, everything you ever do, you have to take a movement 13, which is usually requiring an 8, sometimes a 7. Otherwise, you're going to A, be slightly worse position than you were a second ago, and B, take 2 damage. So that's every time you activate. Serious card pressure. Then anti-shooting, just randomly. Then a lot of possibilities to stun. That can be very, very relevant and very, very annoying. But then where the real source comes is that he's got a stat 6 versus movement attack that places. So again, you've got the whole 2, 3, 4, +1, and usually with a stat advantage and with well-versed. So, you know, you can pretty often not need to cheat first. A couple of decent triggers. The Shockwave, okay, but the main source on the Shockwave is if you do have scheme markers out there, then suddenly all of these disgusting X +1/+1 plays that we've been talking about all become X +1/+1/+1. And that's sick. That's genuinely sick. When you get that to go off, oh god. It's tricky not to get a semi. So, like pressure under the table is a serious issue when electric fields goes off. And then
that caught me off guard. That's very funny.
so then we've got Maddening Drums, and Maddening Drums effectively becomes 6 versus willpower. I don't need to beat you. I just need to match your stat, and you're going to take 5 damage because I'm going to push you into 2 rifts. You're going to take 1 from the rifts. You're going to take 4 from Maddening Drums, and there's fuck all you can do about it. So this is incredibly good against mature Nephilim, for example. Like, oh, so it's a kidnap, so you're kidnapping people you're removing their markers, whatever. So he's marker removal. So the reason that Raijin often turns up is because Thunders lack a bit of marker removal. In Asami 1, we've got the Akaname now, but in Asami 2, we don't. So this is more of an Asami 2 thing where the opponent has some annoying markers, Titania, whatever the hell it is. Raijin turns up. He's got incredible synergy with hazardous stuff. He's got marker removal, and he provides stun. He's a bugger to kill, and I think that's it. That's Raijin.
Yeah. I will say, the one bit that you didn't mention about Maddening Drums specifically is the bit that I picked up from your Lin video, where you can also occasionally just use this to push your own guys if you need to, because they're not going to take the hazardous. And like, yeah, you push them into the end of a marker that's 6 away, they'll take 2, but like, if you're in Asami 2, you can just take it on Asami. Actually, you can't because it's enemy, right?
Yeah, it's an enemy.
Okay.
You'd have to just take the damage. But I mean, if you really want the bird 8 inches up, then the bird can be 8 inches up.
Right? Yeah, because you place the back edge of their base to the front edge of the marker. It's really strong. Just saying. That's the thing. Thanks, Drayson. You can shout out to Drayson Gaming for that one. If he's around, someone get in the comments and pick him. Landon, what do you think of Mr. Raijin?
Yeah, very much a fan of him because like shooting and kidnaps are like something that can be pretty annoying for the crew, at least in Asami 2, and the 5 damage threat is very real. Yeah, I think Eye of the Storm's just a good piece of tech to have in your belt on Thunders in general. So I like most of what he does here. I think we did cover most of what he does here, though.
Yeah. Pro tip: he comes in a box with Dangong and Monk. Oh, we already said that. Shit.
He still comes in that box.
I mean,
does.
he's good.
It's true.
He does everything Drayson said he does, and he's a cool guy. And I really don't understand. Listen, I guess this is where I'm going to take my stand against this. In the alternate sculpt, in the box, like the Alice in Wonderland box, on the box, it doesn't show any weird like star that's on this model. But when you make the model, there's like a star embedded in the center of the model, and the edges poke out from the different sides of him and like through his crotch, and it doesn't make any sense. Why did you do it? You could have just made it look like the back of the box, and it would have looked 100 times better.
There's like there could be 50 reasons. Maybe it's a thunder thing or like a.
It's like a star, but like 4 of the edges are poking out of him, and it just I don't know.
Yeah, it's like as if in Blender, like they just took a 3D star and just embedded it, like in his butt.
No, in the center of his body, not in his butt.
No, the 2 bottom legs are poking out from his legs, and the 2 side legs are poking out from below his hips.
Okay, fine.
The star is center of mass, like in his butt.
Okay. All right, what do we got for the next model?
Is your ass in your center of mass?
Yeah, maybe he was too top heavy.
Jason, one of the techniques I've learned over time is if you just at a certain level you don't question it, because then it's just you can't win the fight. The Brandonisms come at you like tides of an ocean.
This is weird.
And they wear
this is
you
weird
down.
Decision. I have nothing going.
They'll wear you down, Jason.
He's shitting stars out of his pelvis. Like
sometimes people shit stars out of their pelvis, dude.
No, he is though.
No, I agree. I'm the one that brought it up. I don't understand why it's like this. That's my take.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Get in the comments if you know what the fuck, because it's literally there's like 20 images and it's not in the star is not in
any of them. Yeah.
It's on the back of the box. It's not in any of the promo images. It's not in the art.
I was pretty toasted when I was building this model, and I was like, "Am I just like seeing this?" And I kept looking at the box and looking at the model and looking at the box, and I was like, "What's going on right now? Why is this like this?" And it confused me utterly for half an hour.
So
those placements are correct. Yeah.
Rad. Okay, cool. I just wanted to touch base. We did it. Landon, are you pressing the button on this?
Yep.
Yeah?
I'm locked.
Great. All right, let's talk about the best henchman in 10th. Oh, wait. Sorry, guys. Too soon? Fuck you, Fuhatsu. Let's talk Fuhatsu. This is an 8-stone enforcer now because it was too good. It's 9 health, armor 1, laugh off, hard to wound, ruthless, and covering fire. So if this model fails a gun action, targeting an enemy model, you can pitch a card to have another friendly model within 3 of the target take a non-charged general action. And this target is not treated as engaging any model when resolving the general action, so you can interact freely. Or no, you're not treated as engaging, so you can gun freely. If they're engaging you, you're still screwed for interact. Yeah, that's right. Engage. Yes. Okay. Cool. He has a melee theoretically, but it's not relevant. He has a stat 6 plus flip built-in Crow Gatling gun that draws you a card if you miss after resolving. It also has a blast and crit strike, and he has Juggernaut to heal 1/2/4. This guy puts out range damage. Drayson, do you find yourself hotsing in this crew?
No, so I don't find this one as offensive as the Lone Swordsman for showing up, but I don't hire Fuhatsu in Asami because you ideally need to be able to hand him focus, which then means you're hiring a Kunoichi. The Asami 1 has too many things that look at the auto include. It's a big list and it's an expensive list, and it hasn't got space for Fuhatsu and a Kunoichi on it. He is not in keyword, and the auto hire list for Asami 2 is even longer. So, Fuhatsu is a great model. If you don't know what Fuhatsu does and brings, then you're not going to beat Asami anyway, so don't worry about it. But
brutal.
It's you don't need Fuhatsu here, which says a lot about Asami.
My gosh.
Brutal.
Landon, do you agree? Do you want Fuhatsu?
Landon.
Yeah, I don't really think I'm taking Fuhatsu here. Maybe I would take him in Asami 1 if I knew I needed some sort of damage down range, because I don't know if I'm going to be that offended if I want to take like a tools model with my summoning crew. That's the best sort of angle I got on it, though.
If you don't own Maddox, maybe like you genuinely don't have Maddox, so you need to find your summoning card, and you want to put Kunoichi in, and then if you've got the Kuno anyway, like the good thing is that Fuhatsu has laugh off at least, so he can't be tossed around in your own rifts. It's not awful, it's just not needed.
Yeah, I think there are better models to be spending the soul stones on, but I also think it's a model that you could include, and like an experienced player would look at it and be like, why is that there? Like it's you're putting damage down range, it can draw you some cards, it can't be moved around into the rift markers, but I think ultimately there's probably better places to spend your soul stones.
I think also Akaname need to be like they're good, but they're just so ludicrously never hired that they need to be lower. Like they are never ever hired.
Yeah.
Akaname?
Yeah. You summon them all the time. They're great summons, but you just never ever hire them in either Asami.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're at the bottom already. I mean, I guess I could Monkey King. Do you want them below Fuhatsu?
I mean, like they're genuinely below Fuhatsu, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, they're going above Lone Swordsman then, and this is your fault, Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I probably shouldn't tell anybody this, but hire Fuhatsu against me because I irrationally hate that model so much that it will tilt me off the face of the planet when you put it on the table. I hate that model so much. It's fine. Everything's fine. Let's talk the versatile, the first of the minions. Last couple models coming up. We have the Terracotta Warrior. If you're a 10th Earth player, you probably should own this box. They're good. Stat 4, maybe not necessarily super necessary, but they cost 4, they have 3 health, they draw you a card when at the end of their activation, they can't gain conditions, they can't heal, but all the damage they take forever is always changed to 1, so they will only ever take 1 damage per thing that they're taking damage from, and then they take the hit. Unfortunately, they're not immune to the hazardous, which is possibly bad, and they're only willpower 4. So if you take the hit into them, or if your opponent moves them around, they could just die much faster. But they have a stat 5, 1, 2, 3 with grab on. It's exactly the Akaname's deal. It just doesn't auto proc slow. And when your hired minion or enforcer dies, you can theoretically turn this into it.
Correction.
Or summoned.
Yes. So,
or hired or summoned.
Correct.
My bad. Yes. Sorry. It has to be one that was in play at some point. It has to have been killed.
Yeah.
Not hired. Good point. My bad, Jason. Over to you. What do you think? Terracottas, are they too much of a liability, or are you taking them in this crew?
So I take them in Asami 1. I don't take them in Asami 2. In Asami 2, you have way too many rifts, and the defense that they bring, like Asami 2's crew is defensive enough on its own, and in the very niche scenario where it isn't, then I'm taking Thanh. And the card draw is nice, but again, if I really need it, I'm taking Maddox, or I'm taking Kenshiro, and I'm just accepting that like tactics tokens are enough. The source is in Asami 1, whereby you can never ever have enough cards. Like, as long as you've got cards, you can output disgusting amounts of value, and terracottas bring more, but the extra source is that you can hire a Jorogumo, have it go in and murder and then be killed, because they can't afford not to kill it because it'll do too much damage, and then immediately you've got Maddox because you're playing Asami 1, and so you can find the 13 masks that's necessary to then turn your terracotta into another Jorogumo. And because the terracotta is a hired model, that Jorogumo that it becomes has centuries old. It has hard to wound. So
and it can interact with the strat.
And it can interact with the strat. It can do whatever the hell it wants. So it draws you a card. It puts down your power ritual scheme. It does whatever the hell it wants. It provides take the hit for Amanjaku and Kamaitachi, which in Asami 1 are vulnerable for a while. And then after a summon Joro has been killed, you are edging to try and put it into another Joro. So you're then sort of in one turn, your terracotta becomes one, your Asami summons another one, and they are very, very sad.
Yeah. I think you had us at edging.
Yeah.
Landon?
Yeah, so the other thing about this is it can protect some of your backline models like Maddox or whatever if someone tries to do something weird and attack models that maybe don't have as much tech available to them to stay alive, right? And while it's a reasonable thing to point out that they can get yeeted in drifts or whatever, if your opponent's spending time attacking your terracottas, I feel like they're getting attacked by more important models. And I don't know. It's hard to argue that terracottas aren't a sometimes food for every 10 Thunders list. They just are.
I'd put it one above the Joro.
An important part of your balanced 10 Thunders diet when you go to a tournament. You should have like a couple of these, a couple of bran muffins, a couple of energy drinks, and a couple of pre-rolled blunts, and then you'll be good to go. I think one thing that I do want to point out as a kind of a tourist that like is now squatting in 10 Thunders for the next couple of months is you really want to protect these guys from incidental blast damage or things like blade rush damage or things like untargeted like the birds like pulse out a thing, move them, hurt them. Like that really sucks as the person who's controlling the terracotta to have to take incidental damage on it. So you kind of have to balance it from a positional standpoint where you're not just like putting it somewhere where your opponent can blast incidental damage onto it. You really want it in a spot where it's doing a couple things. Maybe its interaction drops you a scheme or something, and it's positioned where it's going to be able to take big hits for models that don't want to take those big hits. And then, oops, at the end of its activation, it gave you a card also.
Or maybe we could remind our opponents, Doug, that the Katashiro was changed to have Blade Rush.
Yeah, I Blade Rushed Brandon's terracotta on Friday, and he was not happy about it. With the Katashiro.
Yeah, we did it. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Is that
cool.
someone getting hard under the table? I heard a little bit of like.
I was drumming Talk the Dog's belly. Because she's sitting in my lap right now, and I was giving her the belly drums.
Any dog owner knew that was a dog's belly. Like that sound is unmistakable.
Assumed it was Jason. I didn't know it was you. But yeah, okay. Rat. Let's. We just got 3 models left, and we're getting close on the record, and we're not going to beat it. So let's.
We're not even close on the record. The Ivan tier list was 4 hours. This is only 3.
Go.
Okay. Charm Order. So this is the quintessential do we hire this sometimes model, but let's talk. Charm Order, 7 cost, 7 health. It costs 8 in this because that's a keyword. Defense 5, willpower 6, movement 5. Enlightened, so they can spend chi. No, it gains chi when it activates, and it can spend them for. It can gain them when it activates or concentrates. It has harness chi. It can spend them for +2 to its duel. Leverage. It gains a pass token if your opponent has revealed schemes, and it can spend them for plus flips. Barrier to the Other World. If an enemy model is summoned within 5, it takes 2 damage. Lantern of Souls, or a 5, ignore demise abilities. It also has a Chi Blade, which is a 1-inch 6 against willpower. 2, 3, 4 ignores incorporeal. You can discard Chi tokens to ignore neg flips. It has aggressive Chi to pitch a Chi token to make the damage irreducible. Inner Peace to take a concentrate action. And Exorcism, which is the big deal, to just kill a summon upgrade model. It has Jinx, which is a 1, 2, 3 and injured, which is occasionally very good. Shady Dealings, so you can make an opponent discard a random card for each unrevealed schemes. So in the first round or 2, that can really fuck up some shit if you have 2 high crows somehow and you don't need them for 9 other things. And then it has a bonus action. Drayson? I'm not talking about Chaos Theory. It's weird.
The bonus action basically just pumps out damage. You don't get to choose where it goes, but like if you ignore how it works, is a bunch of cards will be flipped. Some of those will match the suit that was named, and some damage will be dealt. You don't get to choose who, you don't get to choose when or where or how, but damage goes out. So it's just handy. Mainly it's handy because it's a tactical action, and therefore, as with many things on the Charm Orders card, it gets around Incorporeal. Why do we care about that? Because Incorporeal is one of the main things that people try to bring to get around Asami, because they're worried about the Hazardous. They think, haha, I'll bring a bunch of Incorp, and then you rock up with a Charm Order. So Charm Orders, as always, are very good against anything with Demise. They're very good against anything with Summons. But now, more important... Well, no, not more importantly, that's bollocks. Interestingly, they help against Incorporeal, which is brought against Asami. So they are still a sometimes food. They are one of the most popular sometimes foods in Thunders, but now they've got the added benefit that people are more likely to bring Incorp, and so even more of their card becomes relevant. That's it.
Yeah, they're quite good. I think the other point to mention is that shady dealings can lead to some rather cheeky execute plays as they're negging themselves 2 cards on a 6-card hand. If you get 2 of those to go off, they now have 2 cards to play the rest of the turn with. And the threat that if they spend either of them or both of them, that you very, very easily can just activate Asami and go execute, execute, execute.
And this is where Desper comes in, because it's like, and also I steal your stones, and the model actually dies. Yeah.
If you got an execute off on turn 1 because of combination of Desperate and Charm Orders, I would give you the trophy. You have won.
Brandon puts his cards down, walks away, just leaves the tournament. Brandon, you coming back? Nope, I'm out.
It is clear that some higher force wants me not to win this, so we've done it.
Wild.
I would be so mad. So how far into sometimes do we think?
I think it's pretty high up.
Fairly
They're really
high.
good. They're really good sometimes hires.
Do we think? I mean,
I think Betty's too high, by the way.
Yeah, I was literally just saying that. So okay, I'm gonna put Charm Orders at the top, and I'm gonna put this one above Monkey King. Lower than
Probably
Now
low.
she's too low.
Yeah, probably a little bit.
I like her more than I like
I like her less
Kenshiro
than
in 1.
Kenshiro. Oh, in 1. Okay, sure. Oh, because we put Kenshiro in auto. Okay, well, how about this?
Nah, Terracotta down. No, Terracotta down, Bettari
Are you
up.
hiring Charm Orders in the Asami too, by the way?
I mean,
Against,
still
specifically
anti-summons
against summoners. Yeah, I would, yeah.
It's still good anti-summon. Or anti-demise, like in versus Levy or something.
Like, there are just some matchups where you have to have a Charm Order.
Yeah, I just feel like they're a very killable model in general, and in Asami 2 you're putting a huge target on their head of, look, this is the model you can kill.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, but I'm gonna launch the rest of my unkillable bubble into their face, keep the Charm Order back until it's got 3 chi, and then it's defense 5, it's 7, 8 defensively.
I mean, sure, yeah, that tracks. All right, well, let's hop up to the Kunoichi. They have tools for the job. Next, I'll put them where they go. Low River Monk. Okay. I like the Kunoichi. They're cool. So they cost 6, 7 in this group because they're out of keyword. 6 health, 5, 5, 5, 2. They're disguised. They're bulletproof. They can pitch a card to knock in conditions. They give you pass tokens if your opponent has revealed schemes, and they have tools for the job, so they get to draw the highest card on the top. They get to draw the top card of your discard pile when they activate. Discard a card, build in suits. They have a 2/3/4 that is never going to declare no witnesses. Give it up, Landon. They have shurikens, which can galvanize other models for focus, and they've got I've got your back, which can also focus things. But big deal, they have tools for the job and a summoner. Drayson, do you not like these guys? I think that's what you said earlier. Or just that we literally don't have the points to hire one, because if we hire exclusively an Asami one, just the top row, we're currently at 9 soulstones remaining, and that would put us at 2 remaining if we hire a single Kunoichi.
That's basically more the point. The problem with the Kunoichi in this case is that we are hiring Maddox, and we do not need any more cards than that. That is enough. So where Maddox becomes a bad idea is where you already have models that give you cards, because that's all that she does. She just fixes cards. She does it incredibly well, but any more than that is honestly wasteful. And so the Kunoichi becomes half wasteful, because half of what she does is gives you a 13, and half of what she does is she gives you 2 focus. Now, yes, there are other bits on her card that make her good, and she's a good model generally, but pretty much she gives focus and she gives a 13. We don't need the 13. Maddox has given us all the 13s we ever need. So then she's just giving us focus. Amanjaku already does that. I don't think we need it.
And a pass.
I think the hard sell for me is that the crew also just happens to like low masks. So there's a good number of masks you just don't want to pitch for the focus anyways.
Yeah, true.
All right, so Doug, do you have any more Kunoichi to teach?
My perspective on it is that if you're going to spend 7 on a Kunoichi, you probably might as well just spend a little bit extra on a Maddox to get the crazy card acceleration leverage.
Fair.
And that focus matters less because you have a totem that gives it out.
So what's the word for 0 in Japanese? Because Kuno that. What are we?
It's right next to Fuhatsu, because that's when you're going to hire one.
Rad. I'm putting it above Fuhatsu. I will not be talked out of this. Are we? What about in 2? Are we thinking
No.
even still Fuhatsu? I mean,
Yep.
It's still not really that good.
Rad. It's still going above Fuhatsu. I will not be talked out of that.
Sure.
Fuck that model. Okay. The final model that we have to talk about today is your friend and mine, the Low River Monk. Now, this monk is an out of keyword hire that is made out of cheese. It's not. I was just hoping to stall for time while I look, because low and river are 2 separate words. That's how they got me. This guy costs 4. He costs 5 out of keyword. He has 4 health. But don't let that fool you, because he's got 4 defense. No, 5 willpower, 5 move, but he's got regen 1. He's enlightened, so he gains chi when he focuses and when he activates, if he wants to when he focuses. He has harness chi, so he can use chi for +2, so he's not really 4 or 5. He kind of is 6, 7, but healing drafts is friendly models that start within 3, heal 1, which is pretty good. And then theoretically, there's some bullshit about attaching upgrades. It's not going to happen in Asami. He's got a 1/1/2 that gives out distracted. It can shield him, and it can let him concentrate, but it's stat 4 against defense. You're probably not going to do that. The reason you hire this guy more than anything else action-wise, he's got an 8-inch suitless 6 1/2/3 heal that can give out focus on a tome, and on a ram, heal extra if you discard chi. So you can like full heal your Jorogumo from 8 inches away, which is crazy. Drayson, what do you think?
So in Asami 2, you sometimes, one of the ways, there are 2 ways that you can try to beat Asami 2. One is you can kidnap. So you try to kidnap Asami and then kill her before her crew can catch up and save her and make you lose. Or you kidnap the models that she's protecting. And if you're not doing that, then what you're trying to do is you're trying to put out such a sheer amount of damage that Asami 2 can't really afford to take it on herself, because otherwise she'd risk just dying. And Low River Monk takes that second option away because he just sits behind her as a battery. She just keeps taking all of the damage all of the time, and whenever she needs it, Low River just activates from 8 inches behind her, and she's 8 inches behind your front line, so he's safe as hell, and he just battery heals Asami, so all the damage that's ever being put out goes away. It's viable, and in addition to the Kamaitachi, like, you've got 2 healers then. The reason that the Low River Monk appeals sometimes is because the Kamaitachi cannot heal non-Oni models. He's keyword locked. So when you hire Giong, you may want to hire a Low River Monk because you want to heal him up. Same goes for maybe Raijin, although he has a self-heal. Kenshiro, maybe. But it's mostly just to heal the Asami 2 battery, or sometimes to heal out of keyword models.
Yeah, out of keyword models is what I was assuming this guy was here for. As, he's at 5 costs, he's reasonable for the amount of healing he does. I was curious if you were actually playing him in Asami 1 at any point, because it didn't sound very good to me, and it sounds like you're not.
No, he's more Asami 2.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that analysis. I feel like it's got to be a scary matchup where you feel like you also need additional healing on top of Asami 2's healing and on top of, the Kamaitachi's healing. But, more redundancy is never bad as far as making sure that your unkillable model doesn't die.
It's happened. It's happened. I've hired it several times, and I have not regretted it more often than I've regretted it.
Yeah.
It's genuinely all right. It's a sometimes food. It's a low down on the sometimes food. It's probably around Bettari sort of levels, maybe just below her.
I think it makes sense for the specific use case he's talking about. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Bit lower in Asami.
I don't think I'd ever hire it in 1.
No,
Yeah,
it's not going there in 1, but in 2, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Near the Tengu.
So I guess the last thing that I always try to close with on these guys is, can we have a little bit of a roundtable discussion about if you're coming up against Asami 1 or Asami 2, and how to break down thinking about that match as the other side of the table. So I guess we can start with Asami 1 or Asami 2 first. I don't really care. But can we just have like a quick 5-minute conversation about, all right, you're trying to get a hold of this new rework. You're watching this video from the perspective of a person who isn't trying to pilot Asami 1. You're watching this video from the perspective of a person who's trying to not get trash canned by Asami.
Yeah.
How do you do that? And
Step
I guess
one,
Yeah.
clear guild.
yeah,
Wait.
sure.
We got it.
My thoughts at very high level, right, is guild has a very have their upgrades that ignore hazardous. Mawtucket ignores hazardous.
Give armor, give life.
and,
That's really important.
Mayfang 2 can ignore hazardous. Any models that give out ignore hazardous are good. Drayson called all of those out at the beginning of the video, but basically, can we start? I guess let's start with Asami 1. Can we just have that quick discussion with Asami 1 between, you know, our subject matter experts here and Brandon and myself, and then can we touch on Asami 2 briefly too?
Sure.
Landon, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I think you got the first parts right, where you want to be able to take things that will not immediately die to the blender, things that have a reasonable amount of armor, protect you somewhat well from the min 3 beaters of Ama and the Joro that you're going to see every time you're playing either one of these, you know, in some combination. So having some amount of armor 1, armor 2 to try and blunt that, always quite helpful. Having the ability to then also make those armor 1, armor 2 models not take hazardous in some way, shape, or form, very valuable as well. But having half of the tech on your important beater is probably going to go some way if you can't get both, because not everybody has guild privilege. The other part, the terrifying numbers are actually kind of high on Ama, so you either want to have a model with a decent willpower or ruthless to try and punch through that if that's part of your plan, because it can get very cost committal very quickly trying to get rid of Ama, especially if she gets one heal in through. It's very difficult, and the thing is that she's not a model that you can ignore, because if you ignore her, she either scores points with her good scheming, or she kills models with her good beating, or the worst case scenario, she does both and just flanks and kills a bunch of models on the edge, right? But, you know, she's probably more likely going to be towards the center of your crew, putting out that second hazardous bubble if the hazardous is relevant. So you kind of have to like take a plan to try and deal with that model in either version. So something that's ruthless with some amount of armor that can ignore hazardous is the perfect model, but not everybody again is guild. So you'll probably have to pick some amount of those things.
To jump in briefly on that point, I think one of the things that's that everything that Landon's just said is true. I think important, very important, is master declaration into Thunders. So you need to be starting to think about Asami before you've even seen Asami. Because she's that popular at the moment and because she's that powerful at the moment, you need to be thinking about the you know, these auto include tier models. You need to be looking at the Maddox, Minako Rei, Amanjaku bird, and potentially Tengu, Raijin, Kenshiro sort of options, depending on which Asami you're expecting, and have a plan for them. So your master needs to be able to preferably in keyword hire a decent ruthless model maybe for Ama, or if it's Asami 1, then you would like to have a ranged blast piece if possible, because that will be good for killing Amanjaku and Kamaitachi and or a Terracotta if it shows up to defend those pieces. So if you've got a way to pick off her support pieces and it's Asami 1, that's great. If it's Asami 1, obviously you're going to need an anti-summon piece. So again, not everybody's blessed with one, but in Thunders you might be wanting to pick a keyword. Well, you might want to pick Asami, but you might want to pick a keyword that has a charm order.
Summon a little bit less than you do, I think. I think Asami is not fussed to pivot off of that idea or just make it expensive to do so, to the point where if you're reaching for a really expensive anti-summon option or a maybe less optimal anti-summon option, you're probably coming out behind in that trade, in my money.
Sometimes, yeah. Don't lean into it super hard, but I think if you can in keyword hire Vincent or a Charm Warder, then you probably want one.
Yeah, but I just think to the point where we're going out of keyword for Vincent, we've gone too far.
Because then they're just spamming Akaname at you and making Vincent split his shots.
Yeah, like if Vincent's activation is he walks out of engagement from the Akaname, shoots the Akaname, and then tries to hit a crow to kill it, like, this is not good.
Or uses a soul stone for it or something.
Yeah,
Right.
the ability to pivot into Akaname make anti-summon stuff a lot worse than when it really was summon a Joro. Yeah. Another thing, speaking of like overreactions that I see a lot is people reaching for rift removal. So I've seen a lot of people take specific hires and pay lots to be able to remove rifts. Don't.
There's
Asami
too
1,
many rifts.
Yeah, there's too many. In Asami 2, there are rifts everywhere. You cannot stop it. You can't. And in Asami 1, she'll create the only rift that she needs when she needs it.
In her activation.
Like,
I think
so
that blow it to hell can be valuable if you can get it on a reasonable model you'd hire otherwise into Asami
if you
2.
would hire it anyway. Yeah.
Like, for those models you're on the fence of, like, do I include this, do I not? I think blow it to hell is reasonable to push you in there. Like, if I'm
Yes.
playing family, I would take the Papa Loco. If I'm playing guild, I wouldn't, you know?
Yeah. So if your rift marker is incidental, if it happens to be there anyway, and if it's just like, oh well, that's another good thing on this model I was thinking about anyway, great, take it. But do not say I want some rift removal, therefore I'm taking this model. It's not worth it.
I think that's a really good point, Drayson. It's like it's not like taking Sadir into a Rasputina matchup, right? It's not.
Yeah.
It's not going to give you that level of agency over the board state. And I think the point that you made is really, really good, which is the majority of the time in Asami 1, the most important rift marker is coming out during her activation, right? And she's leveraging that most of the time, so you can't
really prevent it. No.
Yeah. Whereas like something where it's mega high value, again, I'm just thinking of like some of the best matchups would be like in Rasputina, they try to set up a network. They're pushing it out in front of themselves, gives you time to like go blow to hell turn 1, blow to hell turn 2, take big groups of them off the board, basically.
Incidentally, though, Sadir is the poster child of, like, model I would go out of keyword to grab in Thunders if I wanted to play the matchup, because not only is it the blow it to hell, you also get then the ranged ruthless blasting option that can let you threaten some of the backfield pieces.
Sadir's a solid piece, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Sadir a lot. Or
Yeah,
what's her? I have her alt model with the girl in the dress with the machine
Cherry
gun.
Bomb.
Yeah, Cherry Bomb kicks ass. Okay, so I think that's a good overview of Asami 1. Can we get a elevator pitch on how to approach the Asami 2 matchup, please?
Just bring your reducible forehead.
Anti-healing. So a lot of what Asami 2 does is based around healing and placement effects. So if you've got Anna Lovelace with some gravity well kind of stuff, if you've got 33, so that every time they place, you get to place them away. If you've got anti-heal, either an aura or a single target, those will all be good. Kidnap. Asami 2 very much dislikes having her models displaced outside of her 8-inch aura, or having herself, pushed 6 inches back or whatever after she's already activated, because then
hostile work environment.
Or a hostile work environment. She absolutely hates that because everything she does targets her own models most of the time. Also be aware that Asami 2 hands out fast a lot. We haven't talked about that, but very often what Asami 2 does with her activation is to give her big models, Joro, Amanjaku, and Suzaku, or fast. And so if you've got condition removal or condition theft, like Minako stealing fast from another model, that's kind of funny. Or, Tara. God, I hate Tara. But yeah, those are the things that come to my mind with Asami 2. You cannot outrun or escape Asami 2. You cannot. So you need to have a way to fight her.
And I guess any closing thoughts as we're wrapping this whole thing up that you guys want that maybe we didn't touch on, maybe you think is particularly relevant, some of the key takeaways?
I'd be shocked if we didn't touch on something.
I'm saying, last breath here, gentlemen, before we say goodbye to the internet. Anything? All right. Drayson, let the people know what you got going on. You doing any Drayson Cup stuff coming up? Any events that you're running? Anything that you're going to be looking to do with Drayson Gaming during the new year for 2025? What do you got?
Sure. So Drayson Cup will continue to run. By the way, I'm not just a massive narcissist. I'm just incredibly lazy, and that's what people were calling it anyway. So regardless of what I called the tournament on Longshanks, people were calling it Drayson Cup, and I was like, fuck it. So it just became Drayson Cup number 1, number 2, number 3. They will continue to run in between MWS events. So if MWS launch a tournament early enough in January, then I will wait for that to finish and then start it. And if I feel like they're dragging their feet, I will just launch one in January.
Okay.
They will continue to always be 3-round 50 Soulstone singles events, so it's just a good competitive place to play. Come and join us, it's fun. In terms of the channel, I just will continue to try to catch as many competitive games from those events and from MWS that I can. If you know that a high-level tournament game is being played on Vassal, feel free to reach out and let me know, and I'll do my best to record it.
Cool. And hopefully we haven't scared you away, and you'll be back for a bunch of other 10 Thunders tier lists and nonsense time with us. Excellent. All right, gentlemen.
I've not talked too much.
No. It's good to have like a level, reasonable person here with us. Pope Darpa's so crazy all the time, flying off the handle.
That's true.
Me and
Selling
Brandon
people
just need to be
bridges,
selling
making
people
puns.
bridges, making puns. He's crazy. We got to keep him tethered in. So we're glad to have
Landon,
you.
where will the internet be seeing you at any live events happening in, let's say, Rhode Island in February?
Yeah,
Or
probably
Landon,
in one at Rhode Island for sure.
Are you working on any
Amazing.
games right now, Landon, that might be coming out next year?
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about it.
You guys will see more from us, but Landon has written a game that's moving into beta testing that's going to be really cool. Drayson will send you the details if you're interested in it. But you're going to see more and more of that coming from Danger Planet soon. I think it's really awesome. I'm really proud of what Landon has achieved, and it's a big project for kind of Danger Planet as a team going into 2025. All right, guys. I guess we're just going to say goodbye to the internet. Goodbye, the internet. Say goodbye to the internet, Drayson.
Goodbye, internet.
Say goodbye to the internet, Landon.
Bye, internet.
Brandon, you don't have to say goodbye.
I'll never say goodbye to the internet because they're always with me. Okay, that's all I got. Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by the planet. You can check out the video description below for all of our important info and links. You can see a link to the Discord if you want to come be nerds on the internet with us. We have channels for like all the games that we're playing and all of our community members are excited about. You can also check out all of our affiliate links for like our Redbubble merch store, our Pro Acryl discount code because they make the best hobby supplies on our planet and yours. And of course, our weird affiliate link if you're buying Malifaux stuff straight from Jonathan Q. Weird himself. Most importantly, though, you can see a link to our Patreon where I post things from time to time, like behind the scenes cuts or early vids, and we even have a tier where I'll bake you cookies and send them to you in real life. Thanks a ton to our current patrons who cover the cost of all of our software to make these videos, and we couldn't do it without them. You can see their names appearing now across the screen. And until next time, goodbye the internet. We did it!